Coming to you from Blue Crew Studio in Temecula, California, it's the Whiskey Throttle Show, taking you inside the lives and careers of the legends and leaders of action sports. Today's guest is brought to you by Yamaha. Yamaha is the industry leader in 2- and 4-wheel fun and performance. Motocross, off-road, adventure, side-by-side, Yamaha sets the standard. Yamaha revs your heart. The Whiskey Throttle Show is presented by motosport.com. It doesn't matter if you like to pull a throttle cable on a dirt bike, street bike, side-by-side. Motosport.com is putting riders first with parts, gear, and accessories, including some of our partners like Troy Lee Designs, Dunlop, Pro Circuit, and more. They offer first returns free on apparel so you can buy with confidence. And Motosport.com offers fast, free shipping on all orders over $79. Make your next ride your best ride. Visit Motosport.com. Troy Lee made a name for himself as the most elite helmet painter in all forms of motorsport racing. His ability to make a stationary object look fast is something rare. That creativity gave way to motocross and mountain bike gear, helmets, and an arsenal of protective equipment aimed at keeping racers on the track and out of a doctor's office. The 2025 TLD line is out, and it's as fast as ever. Troy Lee Designs, blending speed and style. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us here at the Whiskey Throttle Show in Blue Crew Studios. I'm your host, David Pingree, and we've got a very special guest today. Somebody that, I guess if you're in my era, 30s, 40s, 50s, you're going to really appreciate this. It's Mr. Crew Jones himself, BMX legend and stuntman, Eddie Fiola. Welcome to the show, Eddie.
Well, thank you for having me.
We had Gail Webb on the show not too long ago,
Yep.
And she happened to mention that she lived with you, and I'm like, wait, what? Hold on, back up. I said, I need to get him on the show.
Perfect.
So I'm so glad you made it in.
Yes. Yeah. No, Gail and I go way, way, way back. I mean, matter of fact, she was one of my very first shows ever. And, I was just some kid at the skate park riding and having fun. And she came up to me and said, hey, we're doing these shows and we have this half pipe and we'd love to pay you to ride our half pipe.
You're a kid. You're like, let's go.
You're going to pay me to ride that? I would have rode that ramp for free all day long. It was so this ramp was plexiglass, so see-through.
Okay.
Flexi, kind of, yeah. And a complete half pipe. There is no flat bottom. So it's not like the Tony Hawk type style flat bottom. It's a half pipe.
Gotcha.
It's literally half of a tube. And then the platforms, there wasn't any platform on one side. So only about a 2-inch
Coping.
Not even coping. It was a 2-inch piece of pipe, what kind of coping, and then a 4-foot platform on the other side. So if you kind of got messed up on which side you were on,
Oh, geez.
you'd go up onto the wrong side and go down. Yeah, it was fun.
Sketchy. Anybody ever fall on that
Oh,
one?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It seems like without any kind of flat on the bottom.
Oh, you got to remember, you got to know when you're in the air on this side, you're already thinking about the trick on the other side.
Yeah,
So it's
I bet.
quick.
Yeah, it's just like.
Yeah. Or there's no thinking whatsoever, and it works out even better.
Yeah, I suppose. Geez. Well, she's, and I fear like a lot of what we like to do on the show is highlight people who've been very influential in the sport and, or just people that have great stories. Even though you aren't motocross, Rad kind of got a lot of people, that were either motorcycle guys or racing BMX, looking at dirt bikes, and so cult classic for sure. Right?
Yeah. The other thing about Gail is that she raced moto. She used to skydive. She rollerbladed. She rode mountain bikes. She did some downhill stuff. She was really good at everything.
Yeah.
She might not have been the best motocross racer, but I guarantee there's not another motocross racer that rollerblades on a half pipe or skateboards.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there's not another skateboard girl out there that rides moto.
Yeah.
So Gail is the only one alive I know today that has ever been inducted in the BMX Hall of Fame, the Motocross Legends and Heroes, and Skateboard Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Oh, she's incredible. Yeah. And I remember being a kid at Mammoth and watching one of her shows. And, I remember thinking, this chick's cool. Like because, you see somebody like that and you're like, this person probably can't really ride. They're just out. And then you'd see her ride and you go, oh, no, okay, she's actually good. And then you see her skate and you go, oh, I can't skate like that. That's pretty cool. She just great message, great lady. It was
Yep.
so nice to have her in, and I hope she's doing well. I know she's been a little
Well,
kind of struggling physically.
She's getting older, things. She's broken lots of bones, and she in her head thinks that she can still skateboard and ride and wants to.
Yeah, we all do, right?
And she just loves the sports so much that she wants to keep doing it.
Yeah,
And her body's just not letting her.
Yeah, dang it, that happens to all of us,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Father Time is undefeated.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
I just turned 50 this year, and I'm coming unraveled.
Right. I just turned 60 in September, and so I don't know what a 60-year-old. I know when I was 18, I know what a 60-year-old looked like. It looked like a guy with a walker or a cane or struggling around with his hunched back. And I'm an old guy. 60. That's 60. We're not that.
No, I know. Well, we get started here with our motorsport.com whole shot segment. And, guys, everything you need. I don't care if you're riding a side-by-side, a dirt bike, street bike. Go to motorsport.com and check them out. They've got their new Get Out and Ride sweepstakes underway right now. motorsport.com/win. Every year they give away through this sweepstakes a motorcycle. It's been 2 strokes in the past. I think they're going back to a 4-stroke this year. Going to be awesome. Check that out. motorsport.com/win. So tell me a little bit about what you're up to these days. We're going to obviously go through everything, but you got into, after the movie Rad, which we're going to cover extensively,
Yes.
Into stunt work.
Yes.
And I want to talk about that all, your career there, because it sounds like you've had a really great career there, but tell me kind of what you're working on these days.
I've had a really great career, and it's funny is that, I started off riding bikes, and people paid me to ride my bike. And then when I got into the stunt industry, they paid me to fall off my bike.
Yeah.
So, which was, I knew how to do that, and knowing when to fall and where to fall, that was even easier. It wasn't by accident. It just happens, and I got to be there. And then they pay you on that day, and it was great. So, right now, I've got my own business. I have my own frames. It's made by a company called Supercross BMX.
Okay.
And it's called it goes through the legendsbikeco.com.
Okay.
And it's made by Supercross BMX. And I have a dirt jumper and also have a 20-inch BMX bike. When I was sponsored by GT, Bob Morales, owner of ASV, and myself, we got into doing bicycle freestyle, and we wanted to do more on this bike. And so we got sponsored by GT. And so GT was asking, how can we make this more freestyle and not race? And what can we do to make this frame work for you? And Bob had suggested that we do a double top tube type style thing, so he can do this like a surfer.
Yeah.
And I wanted to spin the bars around. So the down tube usually goes at like a triangle type style. And when you spin the bars, the brake would hit.
Yeah.
So I suggested this bend. And Gary Turner, owner of GT at that time, he said that's not going to work. It's going to break right off. And he says, I'll make it, but you got to ride it. So I rode it. It tested well. It worked. The brakes flowed right underneath that top
This
tube.
was where the lines ran down, right? So you could spin. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
what was that called, that design?
So the bicycle itself was called the Performer.
Yeah.
The gyro was the back brakes.
Okay.
And the POTS mod was the bolt that you put your cable down the middle of your frame or the middle of your handlebars, and then it came out the forks, and then you were able to spin the whole thing around.
And that was Bob that kind of designed that, or was this the GT guys, or a little of both?
So the guy who designed the gyro is Brian Skura, and that was another BMX guy that rode for GT, and he made this design so he can spin the back brakes around. Steve Potts was the guy who designed the bolt for the head tube area.
Okay.
So that wasn't us, but Bob Morales and I designed the Performer.
Yeah.
And so anyhow.
Yeah, I've got a question about that.
Yeah.
And Bob is such a, like you mentioned, he owns ASV, and so he designs levers and all these different cool parts. super sharp guy.
Super sharp.
And when I was doing a little research for the show and his name popped up, I'm like, it's got to be the same Bob Morales.
Same guy.
So,
same
anyway,
guy.
That's funny. Tell me a little bit about you're still working as stuntman though.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that then. I want to talk through that in detail, but I want to know if you had any hand in Gail's bike park that opened up in Menifee, because that was super cool. It's for skateboarding, biking. They've got dirt jumps and pump tracks, and it's amazing.
Right. So I wish I had something to do with it. It turned out great the way it is, but I found out how it happened. So doing shows with Gail at various different parts of the cities and states and things like that, we had done a show here in Menifee, and a kid, was watching and just loved the show and just started riding skateboards or bikes or something like that. Later on in his life, got married and kids and all this stuff, got a job. Now he's working in the field of management in Menifee.
Okay.
Menifee had a budget of X amount of dollars that they needed to spend for recreation, and they needed to nominate, or not nominate, but dedicate it after somebody. And he remembered the Gail Webb show.
Is that right?
Yeah, and he remembered Gail Webb and knew that Gail lived in Menifee at this point in time, and it was, he put it across the board. Everybody said aye, and
Wow.
it got done. So
I was a little surprised. I mean, this culture has gotten so soft with the kids, it seems, and everybody's, kid gets scratched, they're suing people. So I was kind of like, man, that's pretty aggressive, because there's big jumps out there. I mean, there's obviously easier lines, but there's also some pretty big stuff. And I'm glad it happened, but I'm a little surprised.
So this is how it happened. So later on in the late 90s, they made this law called an extreme law.
Okay.
And this extreme law, and this is, unfortunately, this law didn't come out until after all the skate parks were closed, all in the 80s skate parks. Pipeline, Lakewood, Del Mar, all these skate parks had to close down because they were getting sued. Mm-hmm. Then this extreme law came out, and once the extreme law came out, it said that, let's just say there's a line, and you cross this line and you're going to go into the park. If you get hurt, that's your fault, because this is an extreme sport. If you walk into it, you're going to get hurt, guaranteed. If you don't want to get hurt, don't come in.
Yeah.
So
common sense is basically
common sense. Now, if there's some rebar sticking out,
right,
then it's the city's fault. But these dirt jumps, they've made it to where most people can ride them. They've made tabletops so you can roll over things. The pump track itself is all asphalt, and it's designed so that you can roll or pump or jump or do things. And it's just amazing on when I go to these pump tracks and the skate parks, is that there's one in Elsinore, and there's 25, 30 kids at the skate park where I can see the baseball field and it's empty. I can see the basketball court and it's empty. I can see the soccer field and it's empty. The soccer field's full when there's a game.
Yeah.
But you never see kids out there practicing or playing or doing things, But if you go to the pump track tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, there'll be 20 kids.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. They don't want to ride in the heat. They're going to try to make it easy. So
yeah, there's one in Temecula, Ronald Reagan Sports Park, packed all the time. And then I don't know if you saw the little one coming through here.
Yes.
It's not as busy. I don't think people know about it. It's
Right.
very low key, but every weekend.
I knew about it as soon as it opened up.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's your world. But yeah, well, cool. That's awesome. What a neat thing, and I'm so glad she kind of was able to get her name on it. Like what a serendipitous production that whole thing was. That's great. Hey guys, get over to whiskeythrottlemedia.com if you haven't. Check out everything we have going on over there. Moto, off-road, dual sport content, freestyle, all kinds of stuff. Check it out. Our guest is brought to you by Yamaha. Get on a blue bike and rev your heart up. Here we go. Tell me about where you grew up.
I grew up in Long Beach. Well, it was Bellflower, but nobody knows where Bellflower is. So I always say Long Beach. Everybody knows where Long Beach is.
You're in the LAX flight path.
Yes, yes. Every flight. Yeah. Anyhow, I grew up in Bellflower, and I was about 5 miles away from Lakewood Center Mall,
Okay.
which had a skateboard park. And
give me some context here. This would have been about 1970 or no, 65?
well, I was born in '64,
Okay.
and I lived there for so many years, and so this the time I'm riding the skate park was probably 1979, 1980. And skateboarding was on its way down, right? The skateboarding was really big,
60s, right? 70s,
sure,
yeah.
Dogtown and Z-Boys and things like that. They did their little documentary, but as it was dropping off, the skateboard companies, the skate park companies, they needed revenue to come back in, so they weren't letting bikes ride until they knew that we all wanted to ride. So they opened the doors and let us start riding. So now the skate park is kind of like snowboarding and skiing.
So tell me that. Was there tension? Did the skaters not want you guys there? Did you guys get along? Or was it like, hey, come on in, the more the merrier?
We got along.
Okay.
Back then, we got along. Everybody rode. Everybody took their turns. You can only spend so much time in a swimming pool riding and the ramps. And so you didn't take up too much. You weren't the Energizer Bunny.
Right. No one's out there for a 20-minute session. Right. I mean, I do 3 laps around a pump track. I'm hyperventilating.
Yes.
Okay, so you guys did get along. So did you know, like, Cab and Tony Hawk and
Eventually, I started riding Pipeline and Del Mar, and I knew of these guys, and we rode the same pools, and we took turns one right after another, and Tony Hawk actually did shows with Gail.
That's right.
When I was taller than he was, so.
That's a long time ago. Yeah, you are vertically challenged a little bit like me.
Yes, I am tall as Tom Cruise. How about that?
Perfect. That'll tie in maybe later.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, well, it's good to hear you guys got along. I mean, I grew up snow skiing. Grew up in Montana, and so when I moved down here and everybody snowboarded, I had to learn to snowboard because it was it was the Capulets and the Montagues, man. Like, you couldn't be. I don't know.
But I remember snowboarding, when it first started coming in, is that if you jumped your snowboard somewhere near the lift lines or anywhere near that a snow patrol would see you, you get your ticket clipped. You're gone. You can't jump here. No jumping. No snowboards. No. But you can jump on skis all day long.
Right. Well, there was a lot of resorts, I think, in Utah, or maybe Colorado, that just were like no snowboards for a long time. They were late converts.
Yeah.
So interesting. Okay. Good to hear that you guys got along. Well, what else were you into as a kid? Or like, how early did you get on the bike?
Well, like a kid, I started riding a bike when I was 5, the training wheels and the thing and the dad pushing you and learning how to ride a bike. Nothing. And eventually, you got Evel Knievel, and you seeing him jump, and you got the Fonz. Remember Happy Days, and he jumped the trash cans and the shark, and we wanted to do things like that. That's bringing back some memories back there, right? You have to be old enough to even know about Happy Days, just Evel Knievel jumping over cars, and so we just put plywood up, and we didn't know about cribbing.
Yeah,
we didn't.
So you snapped a few boards,
or use that transition of the ramp flexing and then launching you, and then we had a flat landing. We didn't know about landing.
No, I know. I was right there with you. I was born in '75, like I said, a little behind you, but same stuff.
Yeah. So I wanted to motocross. I wanted a motorcycle, but the funding wasn't there. So my dad had passed away early on in my life. I was like 14, 15 years old, and I think that's the point where I started to ride my bike more. I was getting out of an aggression and, no father figure. And my mom, and bless her heart, she, did as much as she could. She took a second job. She never worked when my dad was around. My dad was a pipe welder for a company called Hood and Kaiser Steel.
Oh, yeah. Kaiser Steel in Fontana.
Yeah. So he was a pipe welder back then, and he was known as the fix-it guy.
Okay.
Or now today would be MacGyver.
Right. Okay.
Right. Whatever it took, he could fix it. What was funny is that he would fix everybody else's stuff.
His stuff's falling apart all the time.
And we had a garage full of stuff that was broken that he'll fix later.
Yeah.
When he has time for his stuff.
Yeah.
And which was our stuff. And so that garage was just jam-packed full of stuff that didn't work or that he could have fixed. But anyhow, he had passed away. My mom had to get a second job.
Was he ill or something happened?
Cancer, and again, he was a welder. So breathing in a lot of the fumes, being out in the sun, not using any type of sunscreen or things like that. And
well, shoot, back then they were, what was the DDT, like bug spray?
Yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah, he was.
I could surprised anyone lived.
He used asbestos on everything so that he wouldn't burn himself, so that he could get away from it. And there's a bunch. And then I don't think there's a picture of him without a cigarette in his hand or his mouth. So I mean, it was one right after. I mean, five packs would go in a day,
gosh.
easy, and the whole garage floor is just jam packed full of. So he put sand on the ground so that it would put the cigarettes out.
It was a different time. It was a different time, people.
Right.
I remember I always tell the story of like driving to races as a kid. My dad would be smoking.
Yeah.
Hand me a beer, buddy. And my job was to hand beers up to the front while he was driving. No seatbelts. I'm just crawling around the car.
The image I'm seeing in my head is him with a cigarette in his hand, him working on something, and the ash is about to fall off, and it's just hanging there, and he's still working on. Good stuff.
Yeah, it ends up being good memories,
Yeah.
as messed up as it seems.
So, riding back then, I wanted to ride a motorcycle, but we didn't have the money. And the next best thing was riding a BMX bike. And so my Schwinn Stingray turned into a motorcycle look.
Sure.
So the big ape hanger bars got turned into box bars. Motorcycle had a big mud flap on the front with the plastic fender, had the plastic gas tank, and put the single seat on, and the big knobby tires, got rid of the slick.
Yeah.
And we, dug holes and ditches, and so we can make jumps, and that was the beginning.
Did On Any Sunday have a big impact on you when that came out?
You know what? I don't think On Any Sunday was a big impact on myself, because I don't think I was riding bikes and it was a motorcycle movie, and didn't really get to see it, and didn't make an impact on me then. Now it does. Sure. And what's funny is I met the kid that was doing the wheelie On Any Sunday. That big long wheelie
Wardy?
stand. Yeah, was it? No, that wasn't Jeff Ward.
On the little mini bike where he's standing up, that's Wardy.
Right, but on the bicycle.
Oh, on the bicycle. Who was it?
I don't remember the guy's name. It was just the wheelie guy on Any Sunday on a bicycle, and that's the guy that was doing the wheelie, and he's got no shirt on, and he's a little kid, and he's standing up, and he's got his bars, all he's hanging on, and he's...
Yeah, the whole opening scene is a bunch of kids on Stingrays, I believe,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
So where did you bump into this guy?
We had a reunion of BMX stuff that was going on, and in Tulsa, Oklahoma is where the BMX Hall of Fame is, and they had brought him in and wanted to let everybody know who he was.
Yeah.
So
that's great. Wardy, Jeff Ward.
Yes.
He was the kid on the mini bike.
Yes.
And he was just out there riding one day.
Yeah.
And he did a wheelie. He saw some guy wheeling a bike, so he just did one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how good he was. And the guys were shooting On Any Sunday. They go, "Hey, kid, come here. Can you do that again?" Like
Bruce Brown.
Yeah, none of this was scripted. And he goes, "Yeah, all right." And he did it a couple times and then rode off. Never thought anything of it. Went to the movie and he's like, "That's me." Yeah, that's such a great story. So tell me a little bit about as you got into riding more. Did you ever think of racing BMX, or were you always kind of more into the flatland and freestyle stuff?
So racing, I wasn't the fastest, but the tracks built jumps. So I went to the track so I could jump
Okay.
And that was the only reason I went to the track. I'd practice, I'd get off in the gate, and I'd go ride with everybody, but I'd lag back so I could do the jumps. I didn't need 7 other guys trying to knock me down because I knew I could fall by myself.
Yeah.
So racing really didn't. I raced a couple times. I raced as a novice, a beginner. When I got into the expert, when I did jump up into the expert class, the expert class is sketchy. I mean, everybody's everywhere, and they're twice as fast. And so I, during those last couple of times that I did race, I'd lag back. But I was riding a lot and doing more and more tricks so that nobody was doing. So when I lagged back and I let everybody pass, I would roll and see the double that I wanted to do a 360 on. And so I would do a 360 and then land it. Who are you going to remember? The guy that got first or the guy that got
Oh, you were the crowd favorite, I'm sure. Yeah. So at that time, was there like a freestyle scene? Or because was that even a thing really yet?
There was a thing, and it was, Bob Haro.
Okay.
The grandfather of BMX freestyle. Bob would be doing some tricks, and he would get pictures in the magazine. And then R.L. Osborne was the son of Bob Osborne, who owned the magazine BMX Bicycle Motocross Action.
Okay.
And those pictures would show up in the magazines, and we'd go to the bike shop every month and start looking at magazines and buying them and doing this. Read it front, back, inside out, upside down, everywhere. Bring it to the school and in between with the peachy, right?
Oh yeah.
But it's it was gradually getting in more and more into the magazines. We get clips of more guys doing cross ups and doing look backs, and more style was getting in. And then, one day happened. I don't know if you want to get into that part of it.
Yeah, I mean, tell me about it. It's interesting to me because if you follow along the parallels with motocross, because it was strictly just racing, and then McGrath starts doing knack-knacks, and that's different, and everybody loved it, and then a whole entire sport spun off out of that, basically.
So I'm riding this skate park, Lakewood Skate Park, and I ride every day, and I'm riding with my friends, and we're riding after school, and then my mom picks us up after school or at the park, and then brings everybody home. And back then you didn't need seatbelts, and you'd be 20 kids inside the back seat with every bike in the trunk and everything going on. Anyhow, one day I decide to walk my girlfriend to the skate park, which not only is it a skate park, but it's also an arcade. So you're spending quarters, you're playing arcade games and this and that. I'm there, and I see Bob Osborne, the photographer and owner of Bicycle Motocross Action, and he is doing a photo session with another BMX rider. And he rode for Hutch, and I knew who he was. And
Hutch, I remember this.
Yeah, right. So he rode for Hutch, and his name was Timmy Judge.
Okay.
And I've never seen Timmy at my park before. I'm going, there's no way he can ride the way I ride this park. And I sat and I watched him for a little bit. And I'm going, no, he doesn't know any lines. He doesn't know anywhere to ride. He's doing stuff. And I'm going over to Bob, and I'm going, how long are you guys going to be here? I will be right back. I want you to see me ride. I need to, how long will you? And Bob's, I'm sure he gets this all the time. Oh, you're just some kid, I'll be here for a couple hours, and I'm on my way. I'm running.
You tell your girlfriend, just whatever, stay here if you want.
I'm running home. I didn't know how far home was until I ran home, and I swear to you, it felt like Ferris Bueller's Day Off running back to the house.
Yeah.
I'm going through backyards. I'm cutting corners. I'm climbing over roofs and fences, and I beeline all the way home. But once I get home, I can't do that same line back. I got to ride the street all the way back. So anyhow, as I get back to the skate park, I could see Bob putting his camera bag on his shoulder, and he's getting ready to walk up the stairs to leave the park. And at 5 minutes. And he, again, I'm some grommet kid that he has no idea, and I'm sure 1,000 kids do the exact same thing to him all the time. Take a picture of me. He says, okay, let me see what you got. He's sitting there, and he, gave me benefit of the doubt. And I go off, and I could remember the run where there's a big open area where I roll down, and then there's a snake run going backwards, going up the hill.
Okay.
And I was able to ride from the flat area into the snake run, and I don't use the snake as it normally would be, but I jump each berm.
Okay.
Into berm, and I'm doing a different trick each time and coming across. And at the very end of it, I do I'm going to say like 540, because when I landed, I was able to land backwards to where I can look at where Bob was, and he's got his dang it, he's putting his bag down.
All right, let me take this camera back out.
So he pulls his camera back out, and we do a full photo session.
Okay.
And, there's no guarantee I'm going to get in the magazine, and he didn't tell me if I was going to get in the magazine or anything about it. But from that day on, every month the magazine comes out, I'm buying a magazine. No, I'm not in this month. I'm not in this month.
Yeah.
A couple months later, I got a full-page color. Full page.
Wow.
Now, normally,
which this is, magazines are kind of dying. I get it, but like at the time, magazines were everything. I mean,
that's how we learned to what to buy, where to buy, how to buy. You get a sticker if you send in, a self-addressed stamped envelope.
It's funny because you're not even thinking like, hey, maybe I could turn this into a career, or I just want a picture in the magazine.
Yes.
Like, that's what you wanted.
So anyhow, he took pictures, and I get a full page color. And what's normally, and the thing is that Bob Osborne only took professional pictures. I mean, like if you weren't wearing a jersey, full leathers, a uniform, you weren't sponsored, you're probably not going to get in the magazine. I show up in a T-shirt, ratted old jeans, ratted smelly pads, and I got in. The picture just spoke for itself, and he says, okay, it needs to be in the magazine. So
you still have that photo?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I still have that magazine.
You have to send me a picture of it.
Yes.
We'll put it in the show. That's that's like you said, it's a moment.
It's a moment. And years later, I see Bob, and he comes up to me and he says, that day that we did that photo session, we changed history. We changed history that day. We changed everything about the course of BMX freestyle that day. Because there was another guy that also rode Skateparks, and he was in the magazine a couple times that I saw. And then when they stuck me in the magazines, the caption said, who's better, Watson or Fiola? Well, then now it's a contest. Now everybody else wants to beat us. Everybody else is coming in. So we had targets on our backs. So
wow, I'm impressed. You were able to even get in and go. I mean, you run home 100 miles an hour back. Your legs are probably rubber.
Oh, I wish I could remember back then, but I mean, I did it. And years later, I drove that whole course going, that's far.
Yeah.
Far.
That's so awesome. What about quarter pipe and half pipe? I mean, I know in some of the pools there'd be, you could make a quarter pipe out of that, but when did actual like half pipes and quarter pipe riding, when did that kind of start up?
So there was, the skateboard parks. And then, if you didn't have a skateboard park, you had to make your own ramps. Well, you didn't, most kids didn't have enough money to build a full half pipe. So they only built the quarter. And, how we built quarters back then, and we didn't know about radiuses and transitions and how to cut. And there was a directions in the magazines on how to build a quarter pipe, and they used 2x4. So you got one 2x4 here, another 2x4 here, and another 2x4 here. So it was like kink.
Real nice.
Yeah. So we didn't know how to use a circular saw and how to make it work out right. But eventually it worked. But I mean, I had that exact type of 2x4 ramp in my front yard. And we rode it, all the kids came over and we hung out, and my house was the house that you see all the bikes in front of, if we went in. But, it's one of those, again, back in the 80s, all the kids are outside.
Yeah.
You drink from the hose, and that is it.
I know. It's not just a meme. Like, that actually happened. And
Yeah.
those were better times, I would say, for kids. Such a bummer. The kids today are missing that,
They have no idea. I mean,
the freedom, right?
Yes.
Of just getting on your bike and
that's another thing. I mean, so our parents had no idea where we were.
Yeah.
I would ride miles. I rode from Bellflower all the way to Huntington Beach. And then we would do some flatland stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's really far.
It's like 20 miles on a BMX bike, 1 speed, plastic seat. But we didn't care. So we would ride, and we started doing freestyle. So freestyle started coming up a little bit more and more, and we'd just start doing tricks, and we'd throw out a hat, and we'd make enough money to buy something to drink. That is about it.
Yeah.
But we'd have so much fun, we would do it every day, or as much as we could. And then we'd ride all the way home again after riding. And then there'd be a couple jumps in between. But there's the LA riverbed.
Yeah.
There's places here and there and to build jumps, and we did. And so it was just, our parents had once the street lights came on, we were home.
Yeah. Yep. Crazy times. And I having kids now, I don't know that I would just let them take off. We
became helicopter parents,
Yeah.
right? I know exactly where my daughter is right now. I mean, like, it's
Life
on my phone.
360.
Yeah, Life 360. We didn't let my daughter ride her bicycle, a half a mile down to the store without following her, without her letting her know we were following her, but we were following her. Anyhow, so when she became of age to drive on her own, I mean, like, when we were kids, I knew how to get from point A to point B, no map, no GPS, no nothing, and we rode everywhere. You've already
mapped it out.
Mapped everything out. Where now I'm giving her the keys to a car. Now it has also GPS, but where are you going to go? You don't even know what's around here.
My girls can't even tell me north and south. They're like, go north on the 15. Wait, so is that left or which way is that? Like, oh boy.
Go towards the mountains.
Okay. I mean, I have 2 girls. Maybe it's different with boys. Maybe I would have let them go a little bit. But I'm part of the problem.
Yes. I'm right there with you.
So I don't know how to fix it. But was there anybody who was it that you looked up to when you were, that kid riding all the time? Was there somebody?
So in the magazines, one of the other guys that was in the swimming pools and doing the stylish tricks back then, and he is now a huge name in mountain bike airs. It's Tinker Juarez.
Oh, yeah.
Tinker
Oh, really?
Juarez.
Tinker Juarez was a BMX guy.
So when I saw Tinker the first time in the magazine, it was a cover shot, and I can send that to you, Sue. There's a cover shot of him just doing a big tabletop at Lakewood Skatepark, the park that I rode. I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to look like that guy. I wanted to jump like that guy. When I first met Tinker was this BMX racer, yoked up, big burly looking dude, hair out to here, and he's, just gnarly. I mean, like
oh, wow.
The epitome of gnarly in BMX. And
because I picture him with Cannondale doing cross country, and he's just a pencil.
He's a rail, but he does what it needs to be that person to beat, and that's what he does. But no, he was the biggest influence that I had was Tinker Juarez. Then it was Bob Haro. How smooth when he did tricks. We didn't have videos of anybody doing this stuff. So just seeing him do a trick in the magazine was good. But if you ever saw him live and how smooth and effortless it was, he was a big influence also.
That's awesome. Yeah, I suppose the transition from one trick to another and how seamless that all goes is a big part of the overall run, right?
Right.
Yeah. I never did it. I'm just looking at freestyle motocross. There's some of the same things. Some guys will do a trick and it could be great or not, and they land, and then they're kind of like adjusting things, and you can tell they're resetting.
Right.
Where other guys like Pastrana, he lands, he's wide open. It's exciting the whole time, So it makes a difference.
Right. The one story I know that I had heard before, and it was from Mike Metzger. And so the magazines knew that we rode BMX, and we did. So this is later on. So we did BMX, but we liked motocross, and eventually I'm sponsored, I'm making money, I've got stuff. So we started doing some tricks on our motorcycles, and we were doing no-handers, and we were doing no-footers, and we were doing can-cans, and we were trying to see how many times we could clap our hands back and forth and things like that. And the BMX magazines did a photo session with us. And Mike Metzger said, I seen this BMX magazines with all these guys, these freestyle BMX guys doing tricks on motorcycles. Well, then he took it to the next level. And that's straight from his mouth. That's
for sure. I mean, Jeremy was a BMX kid.
Yes.
That's where he got it. We talked about our mutual friend, Randy Lawrence. He was a flatline guy.
Yes.
I mean, he loved the flatline stuff, but he was doing cans on a dirt bike when he was my mechanic, blowing people away. Like, what the heck is that? And then he taught it to Brian Swink, who would do it, whenever.
So BMX
but it all came from BMX.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is awesome. I think for anybody, some of these younger kids may not even know it, but BMX was the roots for a lot of motocross guys. I mean, pretty much everyone through our era,
I got stories. So, Jeremy and myself got inducted into the BMX Hall of Fame at the same time.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know Jeremy was in it.
Yeah. So he wasn't in it for winning any races. He was just in it because everybody knew that this is where his sport began.
Yeah.
And everybody knew his dad because they knew him yelling at Jeremy, pedal faster, all this, and everybody, anyhow. But that's what made Jeremy Jeremy.
Yeah.
So when I'm there, Jeremy's dad came over to me and he says, I remember you. I remember that I couldn't find my kid when he's at Pipeline at the racetrack. And if I couldn't find him, I knew where to find him. He was hanging on the fence watching you ride. That's cool, because I'm hanging on the fence watching him ride now. So
yeah.
It was a good back and forth type deal. So
Jack was real gruff that way. Like he came across real like kind of mean and ornery, but he's not, right? Like, but that was his
I know who you are.
Yeah. That's funny. That's a pretty cool story. Okay, so when did it kind of start getting serious? Like you said, you started having some sponsors. You were actually going, okay, maybe there's something here long term. 81-ish?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So BMX, I didn't understand the concept of where and how to get paid through BMX, nor did I care about it until
was anybody really making a living at it?
There were some guys that, like the guy Bob Harrell was making money at it. R.L. Osborne was making money at it. A couple other people and BMX racers were making money because they were sponsored and their sponsors paid for them to race, and then they'd win money, and then they'd get these things called photo contingencies. If you got in the magazine, you got this. Well, I didn't understand the photo contingency is, a full page color ad back in the day is $3,000, full page color, and you cannot buy a cover. So a company couldn't buy a cover.
Right.
So if I got in the magazine and they pay me, let's say, $2,000 a month, and I get 2 pictures in the magazine, well, then they come out on top.
Yeah.
Because I just got 2 full pages, and they only paid me half of what they would have done.
Yeah. So
learning that and going to different sponsors. There's little sponsors, like I had Skyway Tough Wheels. I had Premier helmets, and I had, Max Leathers and Torker the frame, and all these companies would pay, $50 here, $100 there, and eventually I'm making some pretty good money. That being said, it's BMX is starting to gain its altitude where people starting, hey, we got to get into this BMX thing and put our name on something. So not only did BMX companies do it, but other companies did it. Like all of a sudden, we would get a phone call from the magazine, and the magazine was, talking to somebody from the commercial companies. And this commercial wanted BMX riders. Well, they didn't know how to get a hold of anybody, so they called the magazine. The magazine says, okay, well, this guy is the best one right now. We can give you numbers. So our numbers like they're a kind of an agency.
Okay.
So our numbers got given to the commercial companies, and we go try out, and now Del Monte has BMX in it. Mountain Dew.
I remember a Mountain Dew ad.
Mountain Dew.
Did I read you were a part of that too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob Morales and myself.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Gosh, I'm gonna have to try to dig it up.
Oh,
is it on YouTube somewhere?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mountain Dew, 501s, Foot Locker, everything. Pepsi had, BMX in it, or they wanted BMX, and eventually somebody wanted to make a movie.
Yeah. Oh, and we get there. Oh, you're speeding ahead. Well, hold on. Before we get there,
roll it back a little.
Okay, so 82 was when you and Bob Morales teamed up, right?
Yes.
You went to GT together.
Yep.
Or no, you went to Kuahara.
Went to Kuahara first, and so that was Everything Bicycles.
And these names are cracking me up because it's taking me back. When I was a kid, I had a red line, but there were so many cool bike companies. Like you mentioned Hutch. I hadn't heard that in a long time.
Right.
Caston.
Oh,
my buddy had a Caston with the single fork and
the Blade.
Yeah, there were so many cool bikes, and
every bike looked different.
Yeah.
Every bike looked different. If there was 10 bikes across the street, you could tell, okay, that's a Hutch, that's a Redline, that's a GT, that's a,
PK Ripper.
Yeah, PK Ripper.
Yeah, cool names too. Yeah. All right, so you guys team up. Tell me about your relationship. And this was the year you won King of the Skateparks at 16.
Yeah.
So pretty young. Tell me about that.
So the King of the Skateparks competition was a series of competitions. So that we went to one skate park and rode that. We went to another skate park and rode that. And eventually, depending on which park I either got first place in or second place or third place, it was a combination of the numbers who won the King of the Skateparks.
Okay.
So I had won most of them and got the most points, so that I won King of the Skateparks. But Bob Morales was the one who organized the whole contest.
Oh, he was like the promoter of the whole thing.
He was the promoter, and at one time it was called the ASPA, the American Skate Park Association. And then it got turned into the AFA, which is the American Freestyle Association. Okay. And Bob owned both of those. And we rode for Kuahara, and this company called Everything Bicycles was part of it. And the really cool thing about Everything Bicycles is that that's what it was. It was a distributorship. Yep.
For all bikes, all parts,
all bikes, all things, and so when we got sponsored by Howie, Everything Bicycles, he had us ride the Kuahara, but he said, "Hey, parts are in the back." Gave us a shopping cart, kids and candy stores.
Oh my gosh!
We're walking around. Oh, I need some Redline cranks. I need Botima forks. Oh, I need this. Oh, I need this. And we put everything in, wishing and hoping that this is going to go.
Yeah.
And, Howie comes out and says, "You good?" Yes, we are.
That's a fun feeling, huh?
And nowadays, and I remember that doing this with GT also, is that, when I first sponsored by GT, they would let us do that. But at the very end of GT, my run with GT, you got grips? Okay, what number is that?
Yeah.
You got an axle bolt? Okay, what number is that? Really?
Man, I used to be able to just fill this up. What are you hassling me for?
Yeah. So anyhow, and that's, when we got sponsored by Kuahara, it was that point in time where E.T. was getting ready to be filmed, or they were filming at that point in time. So they had hired a bunch of other guys to do a bunch of E.T. chase scenes. And
that's
Bob,
right. There was a lot of bikes in that. Okay.
So myself and Bob were off on tour, and we weren't able to do any of that. So they used Bob Harrow, they used a couple other guys, and it turned out great. And a lot of kids, this was the first time they ever saw BMX on the big screen.
Yeah.
Where they're jumping down a bunch of hills, and I think Bob Harrow lands on a cop car, knocks off one of the cherry bomb lights.
Okay.
And so
pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so take me to 83 then. And you weren't touring or anything at this time, like internationally?
No. Well, I did go to Japan for Kuwahara to promote the Kuwahara bicycle that was in ET.
Oh, okay.
So Bob had other arrangements and he couldn't go. So I went with another guy named John Hutlin. And John Hutlin was sponsored by Kuwahara and I think some other bike shop or hot shot grips or something like that. Anyhow, he's 6 foot something, blonde, blue eyes. I'm still 5'4", 5'5". And I fit right into the Japan, China. Right?
You looked like a local.
Yeah. So and then he stands out like a sore thumb. So anyhow, we do a tour of Japan and we do tricks. Now when we did shows in Japan, it's a different crowd. They were excited that we were there, but they didn't show the excitement that we were there. They're like, yeah.
It's a very subdued culture.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And when we did shows, there's not a whole lot of room there either. So every time we did a show, we had this little quarter pipe and it broke down to like 5 pieces and we had to rebuild it, but we had to stick it in an elevator because the only place to do anything was at the playground, which was on the roof of every one of these buildings, like 35 stories in the air, whatever. And the only place that we could put it was up against the wall.
Sketchy.
Yes. So up against the wall of a 35-story building, and we're doing airs above the wall and no platform. So, it's right next to it.
Yeah.
So we're doing airs, and it was exciting.
Gosh, that had to make for some cool photos, though, right? Somebody had to have gotten something with you 35 stories up.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something out there. I have some photos, but again, when we're doing this, 40 some odd years ago, we didn't have camera phones. And we didn't think about taking photos, and all I can do is remember what we did.
Yeah, it's all up here.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so 83, you signed with GT.
Yes. Yeah, that's when we designed the Performer.
Yep.
And the Performer was named literally after me because I was a performer and we did shows and I like to perform and not necessarily competitions, but I had a different style than everybody else, and my style was being a performer, and I was there.
Yeah.
So,
Do you know something that stands out in my head is when you used to do, I don't even know how the heck you did it really. You had a hand on the seat and one on the bars, and you would look like you were moonwalking.
Yep.
Gosh, dang it, that was cool. I still watch that. I'm like, yeah. I don't know. It's the best. You were very smooth and I don't know. I don't speak the language, but you were a lot of fun to watch, man.
Yep, right. So, and that's the other thing. I had a different style than everybody else. My tricks that I did might not have been the hardest tricks, but they looked the coolest.
Yeah.
So.
Style, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so that year, this was 83. You guys go to GT. You build this bike, which are they still making them? It was around forever, that bike.
So they stopped building the Performer for a long time. They changed the design and they called it a Performer, but it didn't look anything like a Performer. It still looked like an old, just a normal BMX race bike. When they stopped making the Performer, I started making my own bike. I wanted to make a bike that looked old but rode new. So all new geometry, new head tube angle, new top tube length, all these things where they weren't doing it. And every bike now looks the same. You got standard, you got torque, Colt, Fit, Sunday, all these bikes, they all look the same. They're all good bikes, but they all look the same. And I wanted to bring back that nostalgic look of an old freestyle bike. So I started asking people. I've tried to fund it with somebody else's money. Well, that didn't work. And we went to GT and we said, hey, here's an idea. Let's go do an old school look with new school jump. And they go, no, that'll never sell. So anyhow, out of my back pocket, I make a frame.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
How much did this cost you?
Let's just say I didn't make any money, but the amount of bikes that I sold paid me back.
Okay.
So we sold 300 bikes, 300 frames. And, what's funny is that GT's bike was called the Performer because they named it after me. Well, I couldn't call it a Performer because they have that. So I called it a Pro-former.
I'm sure legal over at GT loved that.
So after the first 100 that were made, I get a letter from GT, from corporate GT, saying, hey, this is looks like our frame, sounds like our frame. I go, but it's not your frame. It's more than 10% difference. So the top tube is thicker, it's longer, it's beefier, it works better, it's got different angles. So it's not your bike. From a long distance, if that bike was 20 feet that way and the other bike was that way, it looked like the exact same bike.
Okay.
Side by side, completely different. Anyhow, they said cease and desist and things like that. And they said, well, as long as you're only doing a limited run. And that's what we were going to do. It's just in a limited run. So
what was do you have a brand name or what were you selling under?
We just selling them under Eddie Fiola.
Okay.
Yeah. The former pro.
Okay.
Yeah. And so people, they got a hold of me through Facebook and Instagram and things like that. And I'd sell them left and right. And the thing is that, GT was off doing their big mountain bike deals and less BMX stuff. And so one of the guys that actually worked for GT was building bikes in a little studio. I don't know. It's not a garage. It was, just a shop.
A little shop. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, well, he was building some bikes and he'd do, fence work and welding. He's a welder, right? So we got in contact with him about making my Proformer. All right. So now we have a guy that used to work for GT, used to weld for the Performers, and now he's welding my bike. Well, then we go to the steel company that GT used, which was Webco Steel.
Okay.
And then we went to the same sticker company GT used. We went to the same paint company GT used. We went to the same box company that GT used. Everything about my bike was more GT than GT is.
All right.
And so anyhow, we did 250, 300 bikes. And not only did I do those bikes with him, that these bikes were also numbered. So the frame was numbered, the fork was numbered, the handlebars were numbered. They're all matching numbers, and we sold them, and it did really well. But again, awesome. I didn't make any money out of it.
Kind of a labor of love for
yes.
you. Yeah.
Well,
in '83 that year, you, if I got this right, correct me if I don't, but you did a demo at Angel Stadium during Supercross.
Yes.
I wanted to hear what you remember from that, because have you been? I don't know if you've been to a round lately, but they do BMX demos.
Yes.
Huge stuff out in the parking lot.
Right. All Monster sponsored kind of deals.
Yeah.
And these guys are going big. And
what did you do? Was it on the floor or was this in the pits?
So this was literally as you walk into Angel Stadium. Usually there's a big long line and people waiting to get in and they're walking in. And Gail had her show set up right there as the entrance. And I think it was on the sidewalk section. And it was, myself, Fred Blood, Freddie DeSoto. There's skateboarders, roller skaters, and bicycle riders. So we had a great time. And some of the guys knew who we were, and we knew who some of the other guys were. So there was one time that I know that I still have. I'm trying to remember his name, and I feel so bad. Anyhow, we traded jerseys.
Okay.
Honda rider way back.
Gosh, was he racing in '83?
Uh-huh.
Johnny O'Mara, maybe?
Not.
gosh, we had Hannah, O'Mara, 83, Ron Lachine, maybe.
No, Ron Lachine.
Is that who it was?
Yes.
You have a Dogger jersey?
I have a Honda Ron Lachine jersey.
Well, that's valuable. You should hang on to that sucker.
And he signed it, and I gave him mine. So
Yeah.
he either still has it or got rid of it.
Dogger. I'll have to ask him about it.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I just thought it was interesting because
Yes.
you guys were doing this at Supercross way back before.
Yeah, and then we were doing, and back to, Gail, is that we did Just Say No. It wasn't called Just Say No, but we were just saying no against drugs and doing shows, anti-drug shows back then with Gail.
Yeah, that was her whole message, It's great, just like...
Get high on life.
Yeah, action sports, that's a drug.
Yeah.
Try that one, won't ruin your life. Okay, so the next year, like 83, 84-ish, or in that window, you started really traveling a lot.
Yes.
You did, I think, gosh, did I see you? It was like a 15-country tour. Or that was a little later. But you started doing some traveling, going to these, doing demos. And
Right. GT was selling bikes. Now, they sold a couple bikes. You got to remember, at BMX racing, if you had a BMX race bike, then usually you'd have to go to a BMX track. And there wasn't that many tracks around.
Right.
Once they made the freestyle bike, once they made the Performer, wow, you're going to go outside and ride? Okay, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
We could do freestyle right here. I can go and freestyle in the parking lot. I can go freestyle down at the beach. I can freestyle anywhere because it was freestyle. We can do it anywhere at any time. They sold so many bikes that we had, when we did the tour, when we did these world tours, we went to Holland, we went to Germany, went to Switzerland, went to Japan and China, and we just went everywhere riding a bike.
yeah. How cool, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially you're 16, 17, you're a young kid. What was that experience like?
Well,
I mean, what do you remember? What do you recall from like kind of those different countries and traveling around?
Again,
I'm sure you got a million stories.
right. Well, the problem is that, when we were kids, we didn't have phones and we couldn't take, we're not taking photos of everything, and we were on tour. So we would get into a van. We'd have the van packed up with all our stuff. We'd go to the show. We'd do the show. We'd pack up. We'd go to the hotel, get out of the hotel the next day, go to another show, unload, reset, do another show, go to the next thing.
Yeah.
One right after another. So I wish I took photos, but I didn't.
Well,
Again, it's all up in
Yeah,
here.
and you're I started traveling racing internationally. I was about 18, 19, and you don't appreciate the places when you're that young, which sucks. There's a couple of places, and a lot of them I've been back to since and appreciate. But at the time, I'm like, man, why didn't I take an afternoon and go walk around and go see this? It's just when you're a kid, you don't care.
I've got some pictures that somebody else had taken, and that's what's cool about like Facebook nowadays.
Yeah.
Because now I can they contact me and say, hey, I was at this show in Switzerland and I got a picture of you.
Oh, yeah.
Can you send it to me? Because I've never seen that. And I, big arches. I rode under the Arch, the Triumph. The
Arc de Triomphe?
Yeah, in Paris, right?
Yeah.
Did I take any photos? No.
Well, and this is the other thing about anything pre-2005, before it went digital, film was expensive. And so if a guy was shooting photos, he'd be like, is this really good? Is the lighting perfect?
Right.
He wouldn't waste film. And so it's hard to find photos. And now digital, guys just go, shoot 100 photos and sort through it. Different world. But yeah, crazy. You rode it under the Arc de Triomphe and had no photos.
Nope, not one.
Gosh.
Yeah. And we did this all over the place.
Yeah.
We were everywhere, and we didn't think about,
Was there a place where the fans were super receptive? Like, I know you said Japan was very subdued and kind of quiet.
Everywhere else, it was really, everybody was screaming and hooting and hollering, and we would throw out stickers and grips and this and that. And speaking of grips, I remember, well, I don't remember, but somebody else had explained to me that they caught a set of grips, and they still had them to this day. He contacted me and told me that he's a ghostwriter. He writes books.
Okay.
He writes for other people, but he wants to put his name on something. And what stuck in his mind was this show, him riding BMX bikes. And now he wants to do a book on me.
Okay.
With his name on it, saying that, hey, it's produced and directed by him. So he called me up and he got a hold of me and he told me his whole story, that he was in the crowd and we were throwing grips and he caught it and he remembered that day. And his name's Billy Henrinkle, and he contacted me and we talked for almost a year, and he asked doing questions like this. I told him, hey, look, there's a bunch of podcasts out there. You might want to watch a couple before you, so that you can ask questions that weren't asked before. And he did. So throughout this year, he'd call me every, night or every 2 nights, and he'd ask questions and I'd give him answers and he'd type it all out. And I got a book.
So it's out already?
It's out.
Yeah.
It's out. It's called When I Was King.
Ah.
When I Was King.
Nice.
So it's funny about how that, just throwing grips out and it stuck into his head that it's a good memory, that BMX, good part.
Isn't that cool? How many years ago was that? And I remember being at Mammoth. It might have been the same year. In fact, I saw Gail Webb show. Johnny O'Mara won the pro class.
Yeah.
And I caught it. He threw his goggles and I grabbed him. I held on to those suckers
until the rubbers fell.
Yeah, they basically were disintegrating.
Yes.
I'm like, well, I just get rid of these. But
Take a
that's
picture.
that is a core memory. I'll never forget it. Isn't that cool? That
Yes.
You had that impact on so many people, probably. That's neat. Okay. You had a big rivalry with Mike Dominguez.
Well, I don't know about rivalry.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
The magazines would pump it up,
Yes.
like you two were,
Yeah. I mean, we were good friends. I mean,
You were,
I
okay.
would take him to the skate parks when he didn't have a license, and I'd stay at his house and ride his half pipe in his backyard. We got along great. It was just, I rode, he was younger than I was, and he did stuff that I didn't want to do. So, and again, it's the judges who are judging.
Right.
When
you say he did stuff you wouldn't do, like what?
So he would, he turns an opposite direction than I do. I turn right, he turns left.
Okay.
He takes both the hands and the hand and the foot on the same side off, where I would do opposite sides.
Okay.
And, he would try things. I remember that, he would go to the park when I wasn't there so that he could practice tricks that I didn't see him do.
Yeah.
And then I would do the same thing. So we worked with and against each other at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
but it was friendly. It was
friendly.
Okay.
Friendly.
This is something that's different from racing, and you see it in freestyle motocross. You see it in skating, where it's a judged thing. There's more of a sense of brotherhood.
Yeah.
Because I always thought, like at X Games, when like Tony was trying to do the 900 or whatever the heck it was, and everyone else is like banging their boards, like cheering them on.
Right.
And I thought, man, I never was at a race and I had, my competitors cheering me on to do a better lap time,
Right.
Just a different world. But it's cool. I really like that.
Right. But I also like BMX, and motocross, that if you were at the track and you were riding and there's a race that day and you got a flat and you don't have a tire, I guarantee one of your buddies gonna give you a tire.
Yeah.
Yeah. They want to race.
Yeah. But it's just a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll help you to race, but then he's going to eat me alive on the tracker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm taking you out in the corner. You're getting some elbows.
And I guess you guys would have that same mentality, like you'd go out and want to win, but
yes.
I don't know. There seemed to be a tighter brotherhood.
With the freestyle, it was, what was really cool, it was more like a family reunion. Oh, I haven't seen him in a while. Oh, he lives up in Camarillo and he lives there, and now we're all getting together and we're all going to ride. And a lot of times we would all ride, and what was funny is that we would ride in a circle prior to the contest.
Oh, yeah?
And everybody would just go down and show their tricks, and everybody and the difference was between this circle, nobody had any expectations and nobody had any pressure or anything. You just went out and rode and had fun.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys that rode here didn't do good in the competition.
Yeah.
Because of the pressure and I got to make this, and I'm putting my foot down all the time. Oh, this doesn't look good. And it was, where I always, it's just another show. I'm doing another show. I'm going to come out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have fun. Doesn't matter if I win or lose.
Yeah.
I'm going to have fun.
Well, that's sports, right?
Yeah.
The people that can perform and block out the pressure usually get to be the legend status. Okay, so that's good to hear you guys were buddies, because there was a lot of that rivalry that was pumped up in magazines and whatever. 84, you did a demo at Bercy Stadium in Paris.
Oh, yes.
And that was where the Supercross was every year.
Yeah.
The Paris-Bercy Supercross. They've since moved it, but what a cool venue.
There's a crowd.
What was that like
right?
there?
So we're the center of attention. We're halftime. We're Super Bowl halftime for motocross, and they set these ramps up, and it was not only once, but we've done it a couple times, where the first time that I did it with R.L. Osborne and myself, and we never normally ride together, but they had us there at the same time, and we're doing shows, and now I got to coordinate. Okay, what are you going to do with this? What am I going to do? And you do this, and we're going to come up, and we had 2 quarter pipes against each other with a platform in the middle.
Okay.
Right. So it's about a 4-foot platform, and then 2 guys. That's us on top, and that's where we started from. And then we both dropped in and started. We have a kick turn ramp, which is a little 45-degree angle piece of wood,
just to kind of bank and turn back. Yeah.
And we'd come up and we'd do tricks in the middle. So we choreographed our whole routine, and the crowd just went wild. I mean, and Bercy was just all the way. It was jam packed. It was packed.
That's, I mean, to me, still maybe one of the coolest venues I've ever raced at. It was like the seats were very steep, so it felt like everyone was almost on top of you. And man, are they loud. Had chainsaws. They'd take the bar and chain off and just I don't know if they did that year, but like wild fans.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's neat. I just didn't know you guys ever did that in that stadium. Okay, so that takes us to 85. This is the Freestyle World Tour, 15 countries.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So at this time, I'm riding with a guy. His name is Dave Breed, and we do this world tour. And this time, we have our team manager with us. His name is Sean Buckley. Now, Sean, not only was he our team manager, but he also knew how to use a camera.
Oh, okay.
So when we did this tour, and we went from point A to point B, we went to Germany and Switzerland and Sweden and Holland and all these places, he was able to take photos and then give those photos to the magazines, and then the magazine actually put them inside. So we've got a lot of good coverage of back then. But yeah, it was a great time. I can remember, unfortunately, this one venue, I think it was in England, that there were so many kids that wanted to see us after the show, and the promoters brought us to this caravan, right?
Okay.
Trailer.
Yeah, trailers over there are a little funky.
So anyhow, they brought us to this trailer, and they had us go in, and the crowd of, let's say this is where the trailer is, and this is the crowd of people that are standing. I'm like 10 deep. It was just waiting for us to come out, and the promoter at this point in time is going, "Yeah, we got to go."
Oh boy.
Yeah, we all climbed out the back window and left. It was bad. It was bad.
It was like a mob out there.
It was mob. It was bad. We left, and from that day on, I remember telling myself that I'm never ever going to do that again. So when we go to like autograph signings, and we sit there, and I could see how long the line is, I'm not leaving till the last guy comes in. We're signing autographs until that last guy. And because I say that, because I know, and unfortunately, that I've heard some people at the motocross, at the signings, instead of putting a sign saying this is the last guy and keeping that sign so that nobody else is standing in line. Yeah. I know people that would stand in line that have been there for 2 hours waiting in line, waiting, and 2 hours later, they're getting really close, and they take the guys away.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Up and gone. You should have put a sign up.
Well, for a long time, they were giving out tickets. It was like 200 tickets or whatever the number is, right. And then
that's great.
That's it.
Yeah,
and that was I think a better way to do it. Yeah. Don't waste people's time.
I don't want to be that guy. Yeah. So I'm there for the fans. I'm here. I'm just doing it and having fun. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, the world tour was epic, and I wish I had more pictures.
So the ones that guy took a bunch.
Yes.
Did you not ever get any of those?
So we personally didn't get any of those. The magazine
Magazine's
got
got
all those, and then the magazine eventually went out of business, and nobody has those photos.
Gosh,
Yeah.
what a bummer.
Yeah.
A lot of the times they have archives. Was it BMX Action? Because that's still high torque. Like maybe
High Torque Publications. So they don't have any archives, and they don't have any of. They just got rid of the stuff. They just closed the doors, and yeah,
crazy.
they did. A guy got a hold of something or some of those photos, and they just released the book, and it's called The Birth of Freestyle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's like 500 pages of just photos and words and photos that nobody's ever seen before because they're the ones that didn't make it in the magazines. Yeah.
Oh, I bet that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'll have to check that out. All right, our next question here. This is a Seat Concepts hot seat question. If you guys are in the need for a seat cover, a full seat rebuild, they make wet weather seats, softer seats, wider seats, anything you need. Go to seatconcepts.com. In '86, you were hired to be technical advisor and also stunt rider on the movie Rad.
Yes.
As we talked about. Every kid in my era, and this was like the coolest movie ever happened up to that point. So tell me a little bit about how that came to be. And there was something in there that this was actually loosely based on your life.
Yeah, so this is how it happened in my view, is that when I'm riding the skate park and I bump on top and I'm riding and these producers and directors, they call the magazines up and they say, hey, who's on top? What's his number? They give him my number. So they come down and they talk to me. They want to know my whole life story. Oh, well, hey, I, grew up here in a, this little town, and my dad passed away, and I rode, and I don't know anything else but to ride, and I'm making money and all this stuff. So they take that information, and then they go to watching BMX racing, and then they go and watch BMX freestyle, and then they put everything together. A guy that makes up stories, well, that's what he did. He says, oh, we're going to combine, BMX racing and BMX freestyle and make a race and make it work like this. But they had to do something to get this kid to be that way. So they took some information from me. So loosely based.
Yeah.
And then what's funny is that they had hired me already to be the stunt guy. I don't act. I'm also lestastic. So I get things backwards and put words in different things and numbers, right? So
acting's out. No reading scripts.
Yeah, no reading scripts. So anyhow, and not only that, is that in the movie, in the script, the person who is being the mom, I don't look anything like. And they had already hired her. Well, not only hired her, but she owned the movie. Talia Shire. It was Talia Productions. So if you ever go back to the old VHS tapes and you watch this, it says Talia Productions.
Okay.
It's Talia Shire. It's Adrian from Rocky.
You're kidding.
She owns the movie. This was one of her very first productions that she had ever done. So she got she's working with Hal Needham and all Hal Needham's a huge stunt guy and director and all this stuff. So Hal comes to my house and he starts talking to me. He says, okay, I want to do this and I want to do this. And at this point in time, there's one guy that can do this one trick that nobody else can do. And they wanted to put that in the movie also. So they wrote this movie to where somebody does a backflip on a bicycle and lands it and wins the race. So that's how the backflip literally started off. They found a guy that did a backflip. His name is Jose Yanez, and they integrated him into the movie to where he's doubling crew also for this one trick. I'm doubling crew throughout the major part of the movie. I do not do the dance routine.
Okay.
So when they do the movie, they don't do in order.
Right.
So, the very end of the movie was shot first, and then very in the, middle of the movie shot somewhere else. And anyhow, when they were filming the bicycle boogie scene.
Hey, As corny as it was, dude, I still loved it.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I loved it.
So when they filmed that scene, I actually had to leave. I had a world tour that was already set in stone that I had to go do this show, and so I had to go. So Martin Aparicio was a GT team rider with me and did a lot of flatland. So they had hired him to do cruise doubling.
Gotcha.
Right? On some things. And then they had him also double Becky from Full House.
Yeah, yeah.
Lori. So anyhow, so he doubled her in a couple scenes, and then I doubled her in a couple scenes. And so, yeah.
So tell me about Hell Track. I guess let's start there. Because I remember that is what like stands out to me the most, just how, I raced BMX back then. And so I'm like, this is the coolest track I've ever seen. Coming out of the bowl, off the spoon, like
Right.
just all of it.
So when we got there, they had already started building the track, and they had built this thing, and they had suggested, and they went to a couple BMX tracks, the producer and the director and all this other stuff. They went to these tracks, and they wanted to build something that nobody else has ever done. Nobody's else. So they build the starting gate literally 3 stories high. 3 stories. And it was steep. Now, to explain how steep is a bicycle head tube angle is a 72-degree angle. That's how steep this Hell Track was.
Jeez.
Right? They had built it really tall, really tall. And some of the guys, when we saw it, I ain't riding that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the guys left. Some of the BMX guys left.
Where was this? Where did they build it?
So another inside fact that this was one of the very first runaway productions. Runaway productions, meaning that if they shoot it in Canada, they don't have to pay residuals here in California or the United States. So if we go somewhere else to film it, you get paid there, and that is it. That's all the money you get. No residuals, no after income, no nothing. So they're just being business people, and it worked out for them, because if we got some of the money from all the rentals or the showings or the DVD out, anyhow.
So there is no residuals for you on
No.
this? Oh,
No,
wow. Okay. That was
no.
another question I had.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was filmed in Canada. We filmed for about 8 weeks, and the track was built for about 2 weeks, and it took about a week for them to build it. And when they built this track, it wasn't BMX builders, it wasn't motocross builders. It was just a couple, film guys that were digging holes and packing stuff up, and they knew what they wanted to see, but it did not necessarily work.
Yeah.
Right. So, and
did you have to consult on that? Like, hey, dude, this is.
Yes, we did consult, and we did do some test riding, and there was the waterfall, they call the waterfall, where you had to ride up this ramp and then roll down and then jump up. That was actually built out straight. And then every time, it just physics, the way it happened was we kept hitting the front wheel on it. So we had to roll that down, and so that we could roll past that point.
Okay.
And we had spotters that were tied in that would grab us if, we didn't make it. So there was a couple things that happened on that set that nobody has film of, or it was hard to do. But it got changed from 3 stories to 2 stories.
Okay.
So it got brought down a little bit. And it was still even hard to ride.
That's crazy. You guys used to dropping in on
verticals,
ramps, and this is still sketchy.
Well, it's the biggest vert that we've ever rolled in, that I've ever rolled in on, is a 14-foot swimming pool. This is 30, 40 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's high and it's steep, and the transition at the very bottom was like a 6-foot transition.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask, because if the transition's nice, then
no,
it's not too bad. But you get to the bottom and just buckle.
It's you G out, right? And Jose, being the nut that he was, or is still, he was the first guy to roll in. Well, I should say he was the second guy to actually roll in from the very top. The first guy, his name was Beetle Rosecrans, he's in the movie. We laid a ladder up against the starting gate, right? We lay a ladder up there. I mean, and it's almost straight up and down. So we climb the ladder, go up like 10 steps, and then roll in, do like a foot plant and roll in. Go up, a little bit higher, roll in, got a little higher. Beetle was the first one to get to the top and take a foot and then roll in from the very top. Jose was the first one to roll in from the top. Roll in.
From the platform.
From the platform on top. So when he rolled in, he leaned too far forward. So went the very bottom. When he did G out, he rolled over his handlebar. So he just got tumbled. He just got back up and so I'll do that again. So he knew to lean back. Well, he leaned too far back. And when he G'd out.
Off the back.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's.
Jeez, so it was really sketchy because it looked like it.
It's sketchy. 2000, I think it's 2018. They remade Hell Track in Mithilonian, Texas.
Is that right?
Yeah. For a week. Right. Huh. If it was like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And we did. I mean, it was. So they built this track, and they tried to go off the specs that they had somewhere, somebody, and they did this. And then when I showed up, they had us come out. They go, "What do you think? What do you think?" And I'm back really far. I'm going, it's not even close to being as high as it was. I get a little closer. Well, maybe it's as high as it. Get a little closer.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I think it. But it's not as steep. It's definitely not as steep. Then I get around top. I'm looking down. Yep, it's steep. Same exact thing. That's exactly what I saw.
Sketchy.
Yeah.
Was there any part of it that was like really fun? What was your favorite part? I mean, how much did you get to ride it? A lot, I assume.
Well, I rode. I think I'm in the movie more than the actor is. So I mean, like I did the lumberyard scene, the paperboy routine where he flies out and does the 360 out of the swimming pool. Matter of fact, the first time out of that swimming pool with all the newspapers, well, they all got flown out. They're just everywhere. So they had to glue all those newspapers inside the bag. I doubled the friend that lands on the car that rolls up when the mom is looking backwards.
Yeah.
It's funny how I know this movie inside out and backwards.
Well, yeah, right? you built it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, there's just the qualifying scene. I double. Not only am I myself in that, I'm racing, but then I have to change clothes and then be crew racing. Right. So I'm kind of like Superman inside that. You'll never see me and crew.
You and crew are not in the same place. No. Yeah. Did anybody ever get hurt in all that filming badly?
Well, I got knocked out. So there's in the qualifying scene, he looks like he's cheating. Crew is cheating, and he's coming down this foresty area. And the first couple takes, I make it, and there's no problem. And Hal's going, okay, I need to look at it this way, and we'll shoot it from here and take off from there. And
they never get it in one take.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So we do a couple takes, and they work out, and everything's good. But every take, sometimes, we never actually race the whole race in its entirety.
Right.
Because the camera's set up here, and it's facing the starting gate. Okay, well, now it's facing the starting gate. We're going to go, okay, race 1, you're in front. Okay, now race 2, you're in second. Race 3, you're in front again. So they never move the camera. They just keep until we get to lap 5.
Gotcha.
Then we go to the next corner, and we do that.
Yeah.
Next corner. So the person that has to remember who's in front in this scene has to make sure, okay, you're in front this one, you're in that, you're in that. So
a lot to it. And like you said, it's not like you shoot it in order.
Yeah.
It would spin me out because they're like, okay, we're going to shoot this scene, and then this day we'll shoot this one. And it's like, someone's got to really be tracking in with the script to make sure everything's lining up.
Right.
Like continuity, right?
And some days it would rain or snow in Canada.
Were you in BC?
Cochrane, Alberta.
Alberta. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's, some days it would rain. Then one day, I mean, like it's like 70 degrees outside. Everybody's in t-shirts, everything. The very next day, there's snow on the ground. It's just a blizzard, and we can't film. So they only film inside. So now they're doing the filming inside that they can't do outside. So once the snow is gone, now the track is wet. Hal knows people, made a phone call, and this helicopter flies in and literally hovers over the track. Just hovers. That's all he had to do, is just hover till he ran out of gas.
Hair dryer.
Right? So getting hurt there. Anyhow, I'm coming down qualifying, and I guess I didn't see the stump that was covered by some leaves, and I hit this stump like a sack of potatoes, and I fly over the handlebars, and I fall into the line that everybody's coming down. So then not only did I hit the ground, but as I get up, I get hit again, and that's what knocked me out. But the pedal hit me in the helmet, and 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, I'm up in like a minute or so, but regained myself, this and that. They said, okay, we got that on film. We're going to take you out of the bush, like as if you just crash, and then we'll run out and you'll ride the bike again. So they just kept everything in the movie.
So is that in the movie?
It's in the movie.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again.
You're gonna slow mo it. It's a hit. And so most falls in this movie are just kept. They weren't supposed to fall.
Right.
There's only 2 falls that happen in the movie that weren't supposed to, or that was supposed to happen, and that's Hollywood Mike Miranda, and he falls off and. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you didn't do the dance scene.
Didn't do the dance scene.
And then I'm curious when you went back, did you guys see footage before the movie was finished?
So
any of the raw stuff?
Right. So every day we get to see the day before.
Okay.
So the film gets processed and did whatever, and they're called dailies, right? Okay. So we go in, and we, as riders, we don't need to go in, but we want to see what they look like.
Yeah.
Go, oh, that's cool. And they show different takes and then different lightings and different filters. And, this looks good. This doesn't look good. We're going to use this. We're not going to use this. How does this look? But they wouldn't ask us our opinion, but we just got to be able to see it. So, yeah, we did get to see a lot of this stuff after the filming.
And were you... when I did Supercross the movie, I don't know if you remember that gigantic turd, but when we shot it,
yes,
they're using really high-end cameras, and like we had never seen footage this good before. It just looks so sharp, and the actual riding footage, we're like, this is going to be great. Like,
right.
This is our Days of Thunder or whatever, right? Well, then they got it into production and chopped it all up, and you got 2-stroke sounds with 4-stroke bikes, and they ruined it, man. Like, they really ruined it. And so I was curious if
you didn't know anything about motocross.
You're right. No, you're right. And so I guess that's part of my question. Yeah. Do you watch the movie and go, it's so corny? Or are you like, you know what? It's great.
No, I say it's so corny. And we do, sometimes what we'll do is we'll show the movie and we'll do a Mystery Theater 3000 and talk. We won't even have the sound on and going, oh, hey, why would you deliver a newspaper to 7-Eleven? Right? It's a 7-Eleven. They should have a ton of newspapers.
Yeah, they're selling newspapers there. Yeah.
Right. So why would they need that?
But watching it, I never caught that. Yeah. I never even think twice about it. I mean, I watched, I mentioned Days of Thunder. I love that movie.
Yeah.
But I'm sure a NASCAR guy watches it and goes, oh my gosh, this is so stupid.
Exactly.
So anyway, I'm curious how it sounds like you guys are kind of rolling your eyes, but at the same time, it's also good. It's entertaining.
But there are people out there that have watched it that don't know anything about BMX and have no idea who I am or who Martin is or who any of the stunts are, and they don't know about the magazines, but they love the movie Rad, right? And matter of fact, getting into the stunt industry, I had met one of these guys and had asked him the question because there was a story going around, and the story is, so Mike Miranda was one of the stunt guys and BMX racers in the movie, and he rode for Hutch. And he is also a big-time golfer. He loves to golf. So he went to this celebrity golf match, and he was there with Bart Connor. Now, Bart Connor is Bart Taylor in the movie. Bart Connor in real life is a 6-time world gold medalist for the United States gymnastics team.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing you might not know is that in the movie, prior to doing the movie, he blows out his knee.
Oh.
So in the movie, literally 99% of the time, you only see him from the waist up. You never see his leg.
Does he have a brace on?
He's got a brace on. He's got a brace on. There's a dance scene where you see him gyrating, but that one leg isn't moving, right? So it's funny.
Oh, man, this is inside baseball stuff here. I got to go back and watch it again.
Right. So anyhow, they're at this golf tournament, and Shaquille O'Neal is also at this golf tournament. And this is Mike Miranda telling this story, and he says, hey, Shaquille comes in the doors, and they're at the lunch place at the clubhouse, and he's looking around, and he sees Bart Connor, which is Bart Taylor, right? And then he beelines, and Mike says it was like the seas split, and they split, and all you seen was Shaq coming straight for Bart Connor, and goes over to Bart and goes, dude, you are my favorite and rad.
And shakes his hand?
Yeah, shakes his hand. And Bart goes, wait, I win 6 gold medals for the United States. And you remember me from rad?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So
That's
anyhow,
great.
so when I'm on the set for Grown Ups 2, I ask Shaquille this same question. He says, 100%, love that movie. It's like, there it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's great. You even fact-checked it.
Yes.
And it passed the test. What else stands out from that movie for you? I guess where does it rank on all of your accomplishments?
Well, the thing is that, like riding motocross, you were somebody before you did something for the movies, right? So I was in magazines. I was winning competitions. I was doing things. This is just another, notch in my belt that I did a movie with BMX. It was great that we did a BMX movie because, again, we've never seen BMX on the big screen.
Yeah.
Right? It's huge. It was crystal clear compared to what we thought. But the first day going, I'm telling all my friends, I'm going, hey, I'm gonna be in a movie. I'm a movie star. I did all the stunts, and I'm gonna be this, and the room's gonna be packed, and it's gonna be 100,000 people watching me, and I'm gonna be I get there to the theater the day it opens, the day Rad comes out. It's me and my 7 friends.
No way.
That's it. Nobody else in the theater. If you didn't ride a BMX bike in my town, you didn't go to see the movie.
Right. So I guess I don't even really remember. It didn't do well in the theaters?
It did not do well. Like I said, there was 7 people in the whole theater. It became a cult classic. Everybody started renting it. Oh, I rented it.
Yeah.
Did you know that you could not buy the VHS tape? It was not for sale. It was only for rental, right? If you had a VHS tape, you stole it.
It was a bootleg. Why?
Because it wasn't for sale. It was only for rental. It was home rental, home theater, they just didn't sell it. You rented it, and if you didn't bring it back, you bought it. Right? So people that had it, I got an original copy. Well, you just didn't bring it back. You didn't rewind.
Is that true even to this day? You can't buy it?
No.
Oh, okay.
So all the Blockbusters and all the stuff, they went out of business. They were giving stuff away. I got one for 25 cents. I found it in the bin, and I found one for 25 cents. Anyhow, they had sold the rights. And there's another story about this.
Okay.
Do I go into that story?
Go,
okay,
yeah.
So now I'm working on the movie The Hangover.
Okay.
And I'm just another stunt guy that is supposed to do stunts. And I was told that we were going to be on the sidewalk as this cop car comes flying down the sidewalk, and we're all supposed to jump out of the way, right? So this is like 25, 30 mile an hour people driving by, and we're jumping out of the way. So they want stunt people in that area. Well, on the day, it turns into like a 2 mile an hour. Like it's barely moving,
Okay.
right? And he's on the mic going, "Hey, sexy lady," whatever. As I get on set, you're fired. As I get on set, the PA, the production assistant, comes up to me and says, "Okay, your room is over here. Hair and makeup is over here. And do you ride bikes or something? Who are you? What do you?" I go, "Yeah, I ride a little bit, this and that." I go, "Why do you ask?" She goes, "Well, one of our actors is a huge fan of yours." I go, "Really? Who?" She goes, "Ed Helms." Oh,
Ed Helms, huh?
Ed Helms.
Okay.
Then, all right. So anyhow, I again, this has nothing to do with BMX. I'm just another stunt guy getting out of the way.
Yeah.
And we start filming, and the cop car's on the sidewalk, and we're getting out of the way, and we take 1 take, 2 takes, and this is they've got a big camera and the batteries and all this stuff where they have to reload the battery. They got to put another battery in. So the guys get out of the cop car, and Ed Helms runs over to me, and I'm going, I don't know what to say because he's a big actor, right? He does all this stuff. And he comes over and goes, "Oh, you know that trick you do in the very beginning of Rad where you put your bike down and you swing your leg out and it swings all the way around and you get back on? I had that down. I did shows. I had my bike. I was into BMX freestyle. I loved that. Just loved it."
No way.
Yeah. So now we're talking about Rad. And I start talking to him, and we're talking BMX stuff, and I ask him, I'm going, "Yeah, I'm trying to, get the rights to the movie so that I can own it, so I can distribute and do something with it and do whatever, or do behind the scenes or something." And he says that the director goes to breakfast with Talia all the time. So now he's waving the director over.
Oh, geez. It's like a whole scene. You're going, "Oh, no."
All the stunt guys are going, "What is he doing?" Like, I don't know. Now I'm talking to the director. I'm talking to Ed Helms about the movie Rad. And, I'm talking to the director. I don't remember his name, but anyhow, he's saying, yeah, I'll call her. I'll get you the rights right now.
No, he doesn't pull out his phone.
He pulls out his phone. He starts calling, and she doesn't answer.
Oh.
So I don't own it. I don't have anything to do with it. I'm not making money off of it. We find out that she sells the rights to her son, who took it and digitally remastered it, put better music to it. Well, took the music and made it sound better.
Okay.
He made it look better. He put it in 4K version. He Blu-rayed it. He did and it's beautiful, beautiful. And now you can actually see me even better as I'm doubling everybody.
Okay.
It's like, I can see myself even, and guys that are into the movie that thought, okay, wait, this bike had this sticker. Well, now they can really see the sticker. Oh, I got to change my whole bike again, right? They get into it. And it's just amazing on how well they did this. And somehow, some way, they get this movie a day. I don't know if you know about the Rad Day.
No.
There's a day in March. It's March 20th is considered Rad Day. Okay. Rad Day, right? And in every theater across the United States, 99% of the theaters, I'm not sure if it's one production company or one theater company more than the other, but in some town everywhere, they're going to show the movie Rad.
Wow.
March 20th.
Okay. Man, we'll help promote that. That's great.
Yeah.
I want to go watch it.
So
this new version, this new
HD version.
Remastered.
Yeah.
Can you rent it? Like, is it on Amazon Prime or something?
Amazon Prime,
Okay.
Apple TV. You can get it on everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no residuals for you.
No residual.
That is what a travesty, man.
Yes. So years later now, and March 20th shows up, and this is the first time it's a rad deal. Now remember, my first time was me and my 7 friends. That was it.
Yeah.
This time, you have to buy your ticket ahead of time now, right? Sold out. Well, I had bought my ticket early on, so I'm not sold out, but I had other plans going on that day. My wife shows up. She goes, "Where are you at?" I'm going, I'm in traffic. I'm on my way. And then the movie's still going on, and I come into the theater, and I shit you not, people are on the stairs eating popcorn, sitting on the steps, standing room only. People are, and I sneak in. Nobody knows I'm there, but I sneak in and I sit down, and it's at the part where Hell Track starts, and they're naming off all the riders, right? And I sit down, and they start naming off, Beetle Rosecrans, and Everett Rosecrans, and Martin Aparicio, and it's silent, right? And then when they come to my name and they say Eddie Fiola, and I'm not making this stuff up. The crowd goes wild. I mean, like there's hooting and hollering and this and that. Now take it, I'm in Temecula. This is where I'm at, and this is where I've been doing, riding and things. But they don't know I'm there.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to happen 30 years ago.
Just took a little longer, buddy. That's cool though. What a cool feeling, man.
So afterwards, it was funny. Is that after the movie, I'm walking out, and there's a couple ladies, come up to me, and they go, "Hey, our husbands are really shy, but they have your autograph?"
No way.
Yeah. I go, "Just tell them to come over here."
So I guess going back to my main question, where does this movie sit on your, and we haven't even talked about your career after this, and we'll get to it, but where does this sit in all of that? Because obviously what you did in freestyle is amazing. You're, Mount Rushmore of that.
Yeah.
What you've done in stunt, I'm anxious to hear. I only know bits and pieces, but this is it's like The Big Lebowski, one of my favorite movies. Didn't do well,
right?
But now it's, I quote the whole stinking movie,
right? Because you can go to sleep from it, and you can wake up at any time and know exactly where you're at, right?
And rad's become that. It really is. So I'm just curious where that sits on your list of.
I love talking about it. I love telling people about the story behind the scenes and things that they don't know about. Like there was a couple things that you didn't know. I don't have any bad thoughts about it, and it's good. Matter of fact, on Rad Day, we went back 25 years later after filming the movie. We went back to Canada. And we did a ride. You ever see these rides where you got 100 bikes all lined up, and they're all riding down, and they get to a certain point, and they all drink, and then they go to another spot. Anyhow, well, we did this 25 years after the movie Rad, and we went back to Canada, and they brought us out, and we went to every spot that we filmed at. We rode down. We went to the 7-Eleven, which is still a 7-Eleven, right? And so at the 7-Eleven, and these guys are filming this. They had a couple of documentary guys, and they're filming this, and there's 300 bicycles, BMX bikes, bicycles, everything, and they're all crowding around the 7-Eleven. And I walk in, and they're going, "What is going on?" I go, "You don't know this, but this is an iconic spot right here."
Yeah.
And
people in there had no idea.
No idea.
Yeah.
No idea. So.
That's super neat.
So they're going to be showing this documentary in conjunction with the movie Rad on the 20th.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. So if you go, that'll also be in there somewhere.
It's going to be a 3-hour deal.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going. I'm not going to miss that. That's amazing. It's just such a cool movie. I think it got so many kids involved in bicycling, which probably transferred a lot into motocross also for our sport, which is great. And it's been a long time since I've seen it. I'm anxious to watch it again, especially all remastered. So.
Yes.
But amazing stuff, man. Hey, we're going to take a quick break here. This is your Troy Lee Designs Timeout. Stick around. We're going to be back to cover the back half, the back nine of Eddie Fiola's career. Stick around.
Dunlop. There is a reason every AMA championship in the past decade was won on Dunlop tires. They are the best. Choose the best performing tire and a brand that has never wavered in their support of our sport. Choose Dunlop. Pro Circuit. Pro Circuit products are designed with one goal in mind: winning. Through passion and hard work, Pro Circuit has operated the most successful 250 team in the history of the sport. They use that same formula when developing exhaust, engine, and suspension parts for every brand. When only the highest level of performance is acceptable, trust Pro Circuit.
Seat Concepts prides themselves in offering the best seat foam and cover products available for off-road, moto, dual sport, adventure, quad, and street motorcycles, all at affordable prices. So whether you're looking for better performance or more comfort, choose a superior American-made product from Seat Concepts.
Something from nothing. That's what Nihilo Concepts is about. It starts with a spark, an idea, a concept, which leads to a design, and finishes with engineered excellence with the highest quality products created with durability in mind. All our products are made in the USA at our state-of-the-art facility in Stuart, Florida. Whether you are a weekend warrior, ride for fun, or at the highest level of competition, Nihilo Concepts offers innovative titanium, aluminum, and carbon fiber parts for your dirt bike. We offer a wide variety of products that you can customize to your liking. Browse our site for foot pegs, brake tips, engine components, specialty tools, frame grip tape, lever grips, carbon fiber components, motor stands, our secondary on-switch, plus much more. Head to NihiloConcepts.com and see for yourself why factory teams like Red Bull KTM, Rockstar Husqvarna, Troy Lee Designs Gas, Orange Brigade, Club MX, KLM Gas, and some of the fastest riders in the world choose Nihilo Concepts.
All right, welcome back. That was your Troy Lee Designs timeout. If you guys have not seen all the new products over at Troy Lee Designs, check them out. The SE5 helmet, just the perfect blend of speed, style, safety. Those guys, obviously Troy makes anything look fast, but they also spent a lot of time testing, third-party testing, trying to come up with just a safer helmet. You know, it's one of your most important organs, I would say.
Yes.
Our brains, so we need to do our best. So check out Troy Lee Designs. Those guys are doing awesome stuff. We're back here. I want to pick up kind of post-rad, and I got to believe that was sort of your entrance into stunt work, right?
Yes. Yeah, I found out that, I could also get paid not to ride my bike or to fall off of my bike. People paid me to ride my bike, and now I can get paid to fall off my bike. I got, into the industry by riding the bike, and, people hired me to do stunts, riding bikes in commercials and things like that. So,
did you have your SAG card prior to the movie?
So prior to the movie, I had done
commercials,
a couple commercials. I did a 501 Levi's commercial, Foot Locker commercial, Del Monte, Mountain Dew, bunch of stuff.
So you were already kind of introduced to that world.
Yeah.
Okay. And the money's insane.
Oh, yeah. I think the commercial, depending on if you do, like I did a Subaru commercial where it played regional, so you only get X amount of dollars because it's to the dealerships in this neck of the woods.
Gotcha.
And if you were to do, like, let's say, and then the next year the car company's going to change, so they're not going to play that commercial anymore. So it's one and done. Where if you did a mayonnaise commercial or a bologna commercial, where they're not going to change anything, and they can use the commercial from today till the end of time.
Residuals are huge on those.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
But so you got your SAG card prior to even RAD then?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You were dialed and ready to go.
Yeah.
So then it's just a matter of meeting stunt coordinators and
right. And I, prior to RAD, I didn't know any stunt coordinators, and I didn't know anything about the stunt industry. After meeting Hal Needham, he was explaining to us, or the guys that wanted to get into stunts, that, you got to meet the coordinator, you got to do this, you got to have a headshot done. And, there's a lot to do with that. So, and this is all prior 9/11 also.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, I got a headshot done and did all this stuff, and I started to meet people here and there. And there's this one person that you might even know. I'm doing more BMX stuff, but the BMX stuff isn't in every movie, and I love, if I could just do BMX stuff in every movie, then that's great. But I wanted to get into doing other things. And so I met this one woman, that, she was doing stunts for one of the kids in a movie I was working on called Little Giants.
Okay.
And her name is Debbie Evans. Does that name sound familiar? Debbie Evans. If you have a chance, go, look it up. Anyhow,
Okay.
She is a woman trials rider,
Okay.
and for the United States. But she rode motorcycles, and there's an iconic picture of her doing a headstand on the motorcycle. Yeah, so she takes some type of ponytail deal and grabs the front brake and wedges her front wheel into a position, and then is able to do a headstand on the trials bike or on a motorcycle. And anyhow, I met her, and she's a phenomenal driver, stunt woman, doing all this stuff. So I met her, and she says that, oh, you need to meet my husband, Lane Levitt.
Okay.
Lane Levitt is also a trials rider back in the day, wrote a book on trials riding, but got into the stunt industry and has made a ton of revolutionizing the industry in the stunt world. He made these things that when you run across the flat area and then an explosion happens, he made this thing that launches you into the air. They call it an air ramp.
Air ramp, yeah.
Yeah. So he designed the first one that I know of. He designed a couple other things that just is really good. So anyhow, I do this movie. She gives me her address. I meet Lane. Lane says, hey, you got to pay your dues getting in. I come, and he's in, where's he at? He's up near the Disney Ranch, up off the 14. Valencia area-ish.
Okay. Yeah. I got
right?
you.
So he's out in that neck of the woods. So I drive from Long Beach area all the way to his house, and I come and I learn things. And as you learn, you're not getting paid, but I'm bringing pads to the set. Now, what normally happens is that you to get a job or to work your way on getting a job is you take your head shot and you bring it to the coordinator and you say, hey, I'm somebody, I'm this height, this size, and these are my abilities. Here's my headshot.
Yeah.
Thank you and goodbye. And the coordinator forgets about you. Then I come in and I'm helping Lane. Lane is getting paid for that day and he's doing stuff, but now I'm bringing pads in. So now I'm there all day, and I have now a relationship with that stunt coordinator and say, oh, by the way, here's my headshot. If you need anybody my height, my size, that can do these things that I can do. So he remembers me a little bit more than anybody else. I'm hoping. So this goes on for almost 5 years, and I'm still getting jobs here and there, commercial-wise. Okay. Now, the commercials are bringing in really good money here and good money there, where the Mountain Dew commercial, great movie, or great commercial. Anyhow, so I'm learning things. I'm also learning the behind the scenes, and I'm learning how to rig the rope knots, the technique, the tensile strength of certain cables, and how to throw somebody off a building and not let them hit the ground. And so I'm learning all the behind the scenes thing. And one of the movies that I also worked on that I didn't ride a bike in, was Independence Day.
Okay.
So I was there helping out, grunting, just helping, not getting paid. They needed somebody to lay down and get launched backwards when the explosion happens through the big tunnel.
Okay.
I was in the right place at the right
They're like,
time.
anybody want to do this? Like,
Yeah,
okay.
I was in the right place at the right time, and I wasn't on contract. And so that day they said, okay, SAG card? Yes, I have that. I'm good. They give me a contract, and I lay down on the spot. And now take it, there was more work done prior to this. All the cables and the cranes and the time and the testing, where that person that just stands there and gets yanked takes really no talent.
Yeah, right. There's not a lot of prep for that.
There's not a lot of prep, but the person that tested everything, that's the guy that should get the award. So anyhow, I got to lay down and get yanked up in the air about 40 times. Each time they had me do it, and I'm testing it. So they tested it with my weight, and it's like a shock, but it works in the opposite order. So like a cylinder, we put air in this side and it sucks it in,
Okay.
right? So then we put it on to, let's say, a 5-to-1. So now if it sucks in 5 feet and it's on a 5-to-1, that's 25 feet, 25-foot pull.
Right. Yeah, you got to know what you're doing in that, right?
And now if I weigh, let's say, 150 pounds, now I'm 5 times that weight on the ratchet. So the ratchet pulls twice or 5 times that weight. So now we're calculating that the air pressure that has to go into the cylinder is now somewhere around the 1,000 pound yanking force. So it goes to 1,000, goes to 1,500, goes to 16, and everybody is on the set, and they all know that there's a process that everything's got to go through. So if you don't say this, then we're not doing it. If you don't do this, we're not doing it. If it doesn't add up, we're not doing it. So we try to be as safe as we can, and just test with smaller, bigger until we get it right. So. And it's funny is that somebody once said, "Can you explain your job without telling us what type of job you have?" And I said, "OSHA offender."
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Was there ever one of these where you got hurt badly?
There's a couple of them that I got hurt on, but badly, I don't know about badly. I mean, I broke heels and I broke, twisted tendons and things like that. But let's see, hurt real bad. I can't remember anything.
More just banged up kind of stuff.
Banged up, yeah. I've been shot, beat up, ran over by cars, thrown off buildings. I've done everything pretty much except been set on fire. I'm not a fire.
Not a fire.
No, not my gig.
They smear the gel on you.
No, I don't. And I don't like to be cold. So when they stick this, now I've helped prep people in fire gigs, and this gel is in a 5-gallon bucket, and it's kept in a freezer, and it's cold, and you soak the clothes in it. You put your thermals on, which is your fire suit, your underwear suit. Those go in the fire. Those go in that, and then the gel, and that's ice cold. And you're putting that on. Then you're putting on another layer of fire retardant clothes, and that's all in gel. And then you're putting the wardrobe on, which is not fire gel. They put gasoline accelerant on, which is glue, and you're just set on fire. And then you're on fire. There are guys there that this gel works really well, but not my favorite.
Yeah. Well, and you're, what's in that stuff? You're putting that right up against your skin
but everybody's freezing,
Shivering.
until they call action, and then they go, woo.
Yeah, right. And then they're warming their hands on the fire. I guess before we go further into that, let's talk about it. Let me kind of close out your BMX stuff, because I missed some notes here that I had. So after the rad, so 86, late 80s, let's say, you're winning everything, man. Like I'm looking through this list of stuff. The IBMXF Freestyle World Championship.
Yep.
BMX Plus Freestyle Ride of the Year, Freestyle Magazine, Nora Cup, Pro Class King of the Skateparks Series, which was the last one to ever be held. That was sort of your peak, huh, for freestyle?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. You were crushing everything. Okay.
Yeah. But so about 88, and there are younger guys that are coming in. The younger guys are doing harder things and stuff that I don't think I need to do. And I liked doing shows. I liked entertaining people, and the entertainment wasn't winning contests anymore. So I had to, step away and let somebody else take the reins. So
was that tough to let go of, or were you kind of like with the stunt thing, you had a nice avenue to peel off?
I think I had a nice avenue to peel off on. And, that being said, is that I still rode a bike, and as BMX was actually in the 88 year, BMX was starting to head down, so mountain biking was coming in. So I switched gears and I started riding mountain bikes. Luckily enough, there was a TV show called Pacific Blue.
I remember that.
Yeah, so tell me how perfect job this is for me, right? They need bicycle stunts on mountain bikes that it's just a big BMX bike to me. And we're going to be filming at the beach with chicks in bikinis.
You're like, yes, please.
Sign me up.
What tricks are they wanting you to do? Just like
so we're chasing bad guys. We're chasing bad guys, and we're jumping and going over cars and bunny hopping on top of cars, and there's so one of the other stunt guys, his name is Hans Ray.
Oh, I know Hans. Yeah.
Yeah. So Hans and I work together. Matter of fact, one of the stunts that we have done. So Hans and I are doubling the bad guys, and Hans and I are both on these mountain bikes, and we're chasing a armored truck. And this armored truck is doing like 25 miles an hour. And I'm supposed to put a bomb on the back of this armored truck. Well, in order for me to do this, Hans takes my gooseneck and hangs onto my gooseneck. I take my leg and I go over his arm onto the back of the armored truck. I hang on to the armored truck. He takes my bike away. So now they're filming just me putting this bomb on the back of this truck.
Okay.
At 25 miles an hour, right? Then after everything is set and I set the time, Hans comes back in with my bike. I get my bike and I ride away. That's the stunt. And we're all, it's clips, little clips here and there. We practice this at, 2 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour. Okay, we got this. We'll just do it at 25. We'll be good. And we're waiting, and they eventually, okay, and action. Well, I get excited. He gets excited. He throws his arms in. When I'm starting to throw my leg over, well, he's only got one arm, and it's in the air. And he's got one hand on the handlebar. Well, I kick his other bar out from underneath him. We're doing 25 miles an hour. He slams the ground and breaks his arm.
Oh, no.
He's out for the, 5 weeks. And, we would work 2 days out of the week, so that's good money.
Yeah.
But when he got hurt, now he's under workman's comp. So now they put him on as if he was getting paid every day. He made more money.
He's crushing it. And it's tax-free.
Yes. So he thanked me.
No way, Hans Ray.
Yeah.
I rode in Whistler with him.
All right.
Lopes took a bunch of guys with the GT. Remember Monkey? Remember that mechanic?
Yes. Yeah.
We all did a day up at Whistler.
Yeah. And I know
years
Brian.
ago.
Brian and I also worked together on the same Pacific Blue. And
Oh, did he? Okay,
yeah,
I didn't know.
Yeah, we all worked on Pacific Blue doing stupid stuff. Like I did the 360 over a cop car, and I did a backflip over something else on a mountain bike back in the 90s. That nobody was doing backflips on mountain bikes back then. So
I imagine that stuff's not, if it's you doing something, probably not crazy tough for you. But this, okay, I want you to step over his bar. He's going to be, it's like, okay, at speed on asphalt, like, okay. That gets a little more complicated.
It gets complicated. And as you know, as I learned how to do more and more stuff, eventually it gets even more complicated.
Yeah. Well, I've heard of some of the stunts that like Dave Castillo's had to do, and he does kind of like you. He transitioned from just bikes to cars and jumping off of whatever, you know. Well, I got talked into this stunt in the Supercross the movie.
Right.
They took a triple, cleared the middle jump out, filled it with boxes, and I had to jump off my bike and crash. You know, they shot it in multiple segments, but Jimmy Roberts was a stunt coordinator, and he goes, yeah, we do 3 layers of boxes. He goes, dude, it's like a pillow. It's no big deal. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, let's do it. Well, then he comes over about an hour later. Hey, he looks kind of nervous. He's got this Under Armour thing with him, and I'm like, what's going on, Jimmy? Oh, well, we could only get 2 layers of boxes because you can see it. And I said, well, you said 3 was good. Yeah, no, 2, but 2's okay. 2, you'll be fine. And I can see his wheels turning. I'm like, okay. And anyway, like you said, hardest thing ever we spray painted a little line up the triple, and I went, rah, and then just threw it.
Right.
Hardest thing ever to get yourself to jump off a bike when your whole life you've tried not to. Well, I almost jumped past the boxes, even in first gear.
Wow.
Caught the tail end of it, went straight through and hit the ground like pretty hard. Almost knocked the wind out of myself, you know, like very, very close. And I got up and they're like, oh, yeah, hey, this camera wasn't right. We need to get it one more time. And I'm like, are you paying me again? Because, like, you know, no. It's just part of it. I'm like,
no, they pay you again.
I didn't get paid again. I did not get
Jimmy
paid.
didn't do his job.
So.
Sorry, Jimmy, but that's the coordinator's fault.
Well, anyway.
You do once.
You get paid every time, huh?
Every time, depending on the coordinator and how he has it set up in the budget.
Yeah.
You know, as a stunt coordinator, you take a script and you go through the script and you're going, okay, this is going to be this much money, and if we have to do it every single time, it's going to cost this. This also puts a limit on how many times they can film you on doing that one thing. It's like they're just going to kill you because they don't care. You're just another stunt guy, you know.
Yeah. You're just a body for them, really, right? Yeah, a lot of times. Well, anyway, the stunt thing really interests me. Just
right. When I was doing Pacific Blue, I told them that, you know, it's going to cost you $500 for me to do a backflip. Now, I'll do the first one for free so that you can get a shot and where it's going to be at. But the next one and the next one and the next one, if you don't get your shot, it's going to cost you. So they get the shot. They get the shot because it's going to cost them.
Yeah, right.
And that way I only have to do 2.
Yeah.
But if they don't, well, then it's going to cost them.
And you work that into your contract, or the stunt coordinator, you kind of work together on it?
We work together on that one. And, you know, that way they're not utilized. Like, if it didn't cost anything, well, then they'd shoot it all day long.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. They would.
Yeah.
Well, let me try it with this filter. Oh, well, let's do.
We had one on Gilmore Girls, right, where the stunt coordinator wasn't the original stunt coordinator. He was a second stunt coordinator that was taking over for a coordinator, so he didn't have the luxury of telling us how much money we're going to get because he didn't know.
Okay.
But it was a scene where there's all these 10 speeds, and it was a big 10-speed thing around the city in Gilmore Girls. And this guy is walking, one of the actors is supposed to walk across the street, and we're all supposed to not hit him and crash.
Okay.
Right? Now, 10-speed, road racing, thin shirts, bike shorts, no pads, everything, you can see us. And so we only want to do it one time. So we're going to make it look as, you know, pretty good. So the director says, okay, we're shooting it from this way, and we come in and we do the gig, and we got 12 guys all just crashing, going over the bars, hitting the curb, going thing. And, bumps and bruises and scrapes, and they got all cleaned up. They go, no, we want to see it again. That looked too stunty to the woman director. Nothing against. Anyhow, so it looked too stunty. So we dial it back. And she goes, well, what happened to all the stunts? Right? So now we do it again and again. We have 28 takes.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, 28 takes. And we're just looking at the coordinator going, we're going to make some money. Yeah, at the end of the day, it was $200 across the board.
Oh, boy.
Each one got an extra $200, and that was it. 28 takes to the ground.
Yeah, like you said, you're in a thin spandex suit.
Yeah. And one of the, it's if you take a job that you can't do and you say you can do it, it's probably the last time you're going to work.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Because I've heard there's a lot of guys that'll say, when you're going through, like you said, okay, I can ride a bike, I can ride a dirt bike, I can drive a car, I can ride a horse.
Yeah.
And then, they don't know. If they get apart, then they'll just go learn how to ride a horse real quick.
Sometimes that happens. Brings me to another story.
Okay.
Debbie Evans. She gets hired to do a wheelie on a Harley. Well, she doesn't own a Harley. But she goes to the coordinator, can I call you back? And he says, yeah. So she goes down to Burt's Mega Mall and rents a Harley.
Full insurance policy.
Now, she's with her husband.
Okay.
They have kids. One's in a stroller, one's in her arm, and this and that. And the person doing the renting is thinking it's going to be
him
renting the bike.
Yeah.
And she goes, no, this and this and this. And then she hands him the kids, and she gets on the bike and puts the helmet on, and she rides it down the street and then back on a wheelie and then returns it. Just calls the coordinator back and says, yep, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Debbie, you're amazing.
I wish I could have watched that Harley guy's face.
Yeah. So I hope I got all that story right, but that's the way I heard it.
Well, I mean, you hear this a lot from stunt guys and even actors.
Yeah.
They'll just look, whatever it takes to get the part, I'll figure it out.
Oh. So I'm working on this other movie. What's it called? Worst Days of My Life. Middle school. Worst Days of My Life.
Okay.
It's a kids movie. The actor from Napoleon Dynamite.
Heater?
Pedro.
Oh, Pedro. Okay, yeah.
Pedro. I'm doubling Pedro.
Okay.
Now, I'm supposed to take this golf cart, John Deere, down these stairs. It's a no-brainer. I can do this. I got a side-by-side, and it's smooth, and the stairs aren't that steep.
Okay.
Easy. And Pedro, I don't remember his name, says, I think I can do that. I'm sure you can. So the stunt coordinator says, okay, let's put him in, keep out the brakes, let him slow, see if he can do it. And he can. No problem. But the stunt guy that's supposed to be doubling the other guy chasing him is on a bicycle. Now, this is the only time that I've ever been hired not to ride a bicycle.
Okay.
So somebody else got hired to ride the bicycle because they look like the other actor.
Gotcha.
So this other stunt guy, right down the stairs, makes it look easy. Simple. Well, the actor goes, I can do that.
Oh, boy.
So that's probably 10 stairs, right? So it's a good amount. And the stunt coordinator's going, okay, we're gonna let you try it. We're gonna have a stunt guy here, stunt guy here, stunt guy here. We're gonna test, right? We'll get everybody all lined up down these 10 steps, and you're gonna just roll down. Keep your fingers on the brakes down. Trying to explain to him. Says, yeah, but the other guy made it look so easy. I can do this. The guy rolls in. Okay, I'm done. No, I can't do it. stops.
Yeah. Well, what's his motivation to do it? It's like, let the stunt guy do the, because he gets hurt. Now you can't. Now you're done shooting.
Because we made it look so easy. He wanted to do it. So, and that brings me to that other guy that kind of looks like me and about my same height, that did this one stunt that it took like 6 months for him to learn how to do. And they had to hire all these people to dig a pit, put all the boxes in, to jump a motorcycle, and then launch off and do the skydiving.
Okay. This is that huge ramp, right? Okay.
Right. Where there's a guy that already can ride a motorcycle, that can already skydive, that can already do the whole stunt that they could have hired.
Yeah, what? Well, he prides himself on saying he does all his own stunts. That clearly isn't the case. He doesn't do all of his own stunts. Huh?
Well, he doesn't. Well, here's the thing. He can do all of his own stunts, but he doesn't test them.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So we test to make sure that the weight is right, the pressure is right, and we test and test and test and test until you're not going to die. You might get hurt.
Yeah, right.
But you're not going to die.
Yeah.
So
you're the test dummy.
Yes. So then the actor gets in.
Okay.
And does the stunt.
I was wondering about that. So that's how that works.
Right. So there's a scene that I remember him doing in a movie that was impossible to do. Anyhow,
Impossible Missions.
Yes, where he's rock climbing and he falls off the thing and grabs at the last second. Well, as a stunt guy, I can see where the cable is, and I can see that he had to hang on and make it look like he was dangling for his life. But I guarantee he wasn't the guy testing that 100 times until he got it right. Now, again, he's going to get scraped. He's going to get bruised. He's going to do this, but he's not going to die because there's a cable that's 9,000 pounds rated that's not going to break.
Right.
So.
Interesting. Well, I want to talk some more about that. I'm trying to finish up the bicycle stuff.
Yes.
There was a contest I read about where there was all this controversy. You got like DQ'd for not wearing a mouth guard or something stupid.
Yeah.
And they had to give you the win because you still had way more points. But like, what the heck was that about?
So I think it's the IBMXF, and it was in Canada. It's at the World's Fair, 86, I think it was. And I had been riding for the longest time with a full face helmet, and I eventually graduated to an open face with a Jofa, and then we were doing more and more shows to where I wasn't wearing the Jofa, and I just got really comfortable not wearing any mouthpiece. So during this competition, they said, well, you either have to wear a full face or a Jofa. Why? It's my body and my thing. And anyhow, I didn't wear the Jofa. I put it on. I clicked it. It's hanging. Yeah. I have it, but they got upset, and it was a big ordeal. And I don't think I actually won that one. I was in the competition, but another guy actually won it because he did all the criteria. Yeah.
That's kind of silly.
Yeah, but hey, I remember it's good stories. Good stories.
And then what about you got inducted into the ABA Hall of Fame, which is pretty sweet.
Yes.
Was that that's a big honor.
You know what that means? It means I'm old.
Well,
you don't get inducted to anything, a Hall of Fame, unless you're old, because if you're young, you're not a Hall of Famer, right?
Right.
And what considers, and the other thing is that we tried to figure out what makes a Hall of Famer. What is it? The one stunt wonder? Is it the one trick pony? Is it the people you influenced? How many people is it a popularity contest?
I think they got to look at your whole body of work, everything you've done. I mean, between the movie, between all of the contests, you said yourself, you and this magazine guy kind of changed the sport.
Yeah.
That was a pivotal moment. Yeah. So, man, you were super. I mean, that's a no-brainer to me. Never mind all the contest wins and the
right.
But I think you look at somebody's, and that's why you got to be older, because they need to look at let's look at his whole body of everything he's done, and I think it's a no-brainer. I just I don't know if those. does it mean a lot to be inducted? I mean, you're like, that's cool.
You know,
or
I don't walk around saying, "Hey, I'm a Hall of Famer."
you don't start with that?
No.
Hey, how you doing?
Though they just gave everyone who was inducted and will be inducted, they gave them a wallet that is kind of like an FBI wallet that has a badge that says you're a Hall of Famer, so I can just flip it out. And I don't have it on me right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. You should use that.
Yes. Get me out of a ticket.
You weren't married. Be great for picking up chicks. How you doing? I don't know if you know this, but
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. Okay. So we're kind of completed the bike stuff. Let's continue on with the stunt stuff. Yeah. So tell me some of the, you've worked on some cool projects, The Italian Job, Cat in the Hat, which I thought, isn't that a animated movie?
No, well, they did one with Michael Myers. And he's the cat, and there was the scene that I'm doing. I'm doubling one of these guys that is bald, so I have a bald cap on. And one of the things was we lay down on the ground, and they're not supposed to see us for some unknown reason. And everybody starts. I don't remember exactly what happens, but it got cut from the movie. So I got paid. I'm still getting paid, still getting residual checks, and
yeah.
Does
that happen a lot? You do some stunt and then it doesn't even make the movie, and you're like, "Good grief!" Oh, whatever. I guess I'm still being paid, but it's
okay. So good story. Here it is. So I'm working on. I get this phone call from a stunt coordinator. It says, "Hey, what are you doing this Friday?" I'm going, "Nothing. Nothing's on the agenda." And he says, "Great, because we need you for some bike stuff." I go, "Cool. Can I bring my bike?" He says, "No, we have a bike for you."
Does that scare you? Are you like, "Oh boy"?
Yes, it does. So I get there, and it's a Sprint commercial.
Okay. Phone.
Yeah. It's with David Beckham, and he is changing from his phone company to Sprint, right? And he is going to be the Pied Piper of phone company. So he's going to, T-Mobile, and he's, "Hey, give me this deal, not that deal." And people that are in the store going, "Well, I'm going to go where David's going." And then he goes to another store and goes, No, I'm going to go to this other store. So now there's 100 people following him.
Okay.
My job was to ride this. I get on set and they show me the bike. It's a little girl's 16-inch pink bike with a basket on it. I go, "Great. You're not going to get a lot of tricks out of this." They go, No. We just want funny." Okay. And don't hit David.
How are you dressed? Are you okay?
Okay. Oh, wardrobe's over here.
Oh boy.
So I go to wardrobe and they put me in a full 3-piece suit. Right? I got a vest on, I got a tie. You know those jackets that if you go too far forward, it feels like you're going to, little guy in a big
fat guy in a little coat.
Yeah. So,
I'm thinking, how do you even bend your legs enough to pedal?
Right. So I told the stunt coordinator, I'm going, this is going to limit how many tricks I can do. He says, "That's okay. We want funny. You're going to get funny because I'm not going to be able to do anything, and that's going to be funny." So anyhow, the deal is that David goes from store to store to store to store, and he walks down this one aisleway. And as he walks down, I cruise in literally right behind him, and I start riding, zigzagging in between the other stunt people that are in the area. And so we do a test, and David walks down, and I cruise around the corner, and I'm hauling butt, and I'm, this little bike, and I ride right next to him, and we finish the scene. They go, "This was a test." Says, okay, that looks great. We've got the cameras. We're going to set the lighting. We're going to do everything. Oh, and we're going to dress the whole thing. So then they start throwing dirt and like an alleyway. They put popcorn and bananas and things in the way. I'm going, "Well, I can't ride like I did. Just what you wanted, I can't do now."
Yeah.
They're going, "Okay, well, we'll move this and we'll move this." And now I'm zigzagging in between the things, and I could do it again. They go, "Good? Perfect. Okay, wet it down." The speed that I had, I can't do now because it's slippery. It's a little 16-inch wheel tires. They're not good tire. So can you just do a stream like an alleyway stream down the middle instead of wetting the whole thing down. Okay. So they just wet the middle down. And so now I'm doing this zigzag, but I'm hopping in between.
Oh, okay.
Right? So I'm doing all this stuff. We spend, I don't know, 2 days on this alleyway because everybody else is doing things and everybody else has to walk in and all the other stunt people and nobody's hitting David and he's just walking. And so the next day is literally, because I've already done all the stunt stuff, the next day is me walking into the store with him, and here's David, and I'm way off to this side, and anyhow, I see the commercial. It comes on like 3 months later, and I'm not in it. I can't see myself.
You're nowhere in it.
I don't think so. I can't.
You spent days.
Yeah. I can't see myself at all. So anyhow, we go on vacation. We spent a couple days in England with my wife, my daughter, and we come back, and I come home to a stack of checks. A stack. We're talking stack. 3,000, 2,000, 5,000, 2,000, 5,000, 3,000, 2,000, depending on where it was shown and what time of day it was shown. It was shown during the soccer
World Cup, probably.
World Cup. Yeah. In 3 different languages.
Oh my gosh.
So it's 3 different times and so about $108,000 later for, a 3-month period.
And you're just one of many.
And if you slow-mo at the right time, as the taxi cab is crossing the street, you can see me through the taxi cab window.
Gosh.
Yeah, good stuff.
But the check's cash, so what are you gonna do?
Not worried about it.
Yeah. And you said David was a lovely guy. Actually.
Lovely guy. Yeah. It was the production company that was a little bit on the tense side. They literally took our cameras, our phones, and put tape that we couldn't take off until the end of the day, or they took your phone because they didn't want pictures taken of him.
Yeah.
So.
Is there have you been on anything? What else? I mean, Dukes of Hazzard, Fear Factor was on there?
Fear Factor. So I worked on Fear Factor. I've actually worked on a couple different Fear Factor type deals. I worked on...
Was this when Rogan was doing it?
Yes.
And what would you do? Were you...
So we're we're the stunt team that tests. We have to test to make sure that is even feasible for a person to do. Excuse me, there
was some gnarly stunts. I remember that to jump a car off a parking garage,
right?
And
again, anybody can do it, but the testing, we made it to where it was livable. You're not going to die.
Yeah,
you're not going to die. The cable's going to hold you. You're not going to fall off. You're going to fall, but you're not going to hit the ground.
Yeah, right.
So a lot of the things you won't die. You're going to get bruised. You're going to get scraped. You're going to get this, but you're not going to die. There are some things that we took out. There's no way we're gonna die.
Yeah.
One was there was this full shipping container full of water, and at one point in time, and they had K rails across the thing. At one point in time, they opened the floodgates, and they ran. And we have stunt guys in there that can swim, that can do all the stuff, and they're athletic, and they just got their bell rung. So to stick somebody else in there.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah. So they cut that from some of the things, and that happens all the time. So the best thing that I know about Fear Factor is that Monday, Tuesday is we test. Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday is the eat day.
Oh. Did you guys ever have to
No.
test sample stuff? Hey, see if you guys can get this done. The stunt guys can do it.
Yeah, Wednesday was an eat day, and Thursday, Friday was our shoot day of doing the actual stunt stuff. But Wednesday was the gnarly, nasty, these people have to, we can't, I'm not doing it. But
that when I used to watch that show, I'd say most of the stunt stuff I could do.
Yeah.
I'd do any of this.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm doing that. There's no way I'm eating donkey balls or whatever.
The African cave dwelling spider. that had like these claws that came out and just as the guy was trying to put it in his mouth, clawed the face, and he's trying to still stick it in his mouth.
No, those are weird people.
Yeah.
What about the Italian job? You do car driving in that?
So I didn't get to do any car driving stuff, and this is when the Mini started coming out,
Yeah.
right? So the thing was that the scene that I'm in is the subway scene where they're driving the Minis in the subway,
Okay.
and they do a near miss with a couple people. They drive down the stairwell. I'm one of the guys in the stairwell that gets out of the way. And then I'm in another spot. It's funny is when you're a stunt person, you're like 3 people in one scene in different areas.
Yeah, right.
Right. So now I'm in the subway, and as they drive by, I lift my feet up and they, haul us by.
Yeah.
It's also the first time that I've ever seen, it was funny, is that they wouldn't let the Minis in the subway unless they were electric. So there are 3 Minis back in the early 2000s that were electric motored with gear shifts and clutches.
Wow.
Yeah. So they had to make it so that they can be in the subway.
Yeah. That's crazy. Huh. And they just piped in the motor noises.
Yeah.
That's funny. What else you work on? Indiana Jones? What did you do in that one?
Indiana Jones, Crystal Skull. So there are scenes where you see him use the whip, right? And then he's got to climb up or swing across. Well, it's not the whip, it's the cables and everything on the cables. So we are rigging everything. Anytime Indiana or Harrison Ford is doing any of those things, it's our cables that are doing it, and our rigging, or and then there's another scene where I'm in where there's a deuce and a half, one of the old military vehicles, 6-wheeler.
Yep.
And they're in the warehouse in the very beginning of the movie, I think it is, and the Ark is somewhere in there, and I slide it sideways.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Is the car stuff fun?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. On the Hangover, I got to. So not only did I get out of the way in the Hangover, but I was also the valet that returned the car to the guys when they thought it was in the impound yard.
Okay.
And it's going to be foobarred. Well, when he says foobar, they cut to a scene which isn't in the movie anymore or at any time, but I filmed a bunch of stuff where I'm sliding the car sideways, doing reverse 180s. I'm pitching, getting really close to other cars, but it never made it to the movie. But so you actually see me drive up, park, open the door, and hand them the receipt for them to sign.
I'll have to go back and watch it again. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff you don't really pay attention, and then if someone points it out, you go, "Oh, yeah, he's right there."
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I've had people call, wait, your name's in the credits, but where are you at? I go, yeah, well.
Yeah. Stuntmen are, unsung heroes. They don't get a lot of love. That's funny. What about, with the guy who likes impossible missions, what were some of the more interesting things you've done with him? Like that, obviously that motorcycle one, did you do a bunch of the testing?
I did not actually. I didn't get to do anything with him. So I've never done a movie with him. People say that I look like him. I could pass for his stunt double, but I knew a stunt double for him, which he won an award in the stunt industry. And so, the Academy Awards and the Oscars and all this stuff. Well, we as stunt people, we have our own awards, and it's called the Torse Awards. And so it's a stuntman's award that will get an award for best car chase.
Right.
Or hardest hit that I was nominated for, but I didn't win. I didn't try out for either.
Hardest hit, which one was it for?
So the movie Stick It, So it's a gymnastics movie.
Okay.
Gymnastics movie called Stick It. The first 5 minutes of the movie is BMX and skateboarding, and these guys are arguing back and forth. Who's better? Who's better? And there's this empty swimming pool, and we have 3 stunt guys that are doubling this one stunt or this one actress. So you don't know she's an actress or it's a girl at all, but you see this guy on top of this roof, and he rolls in and jumps onto this swimming slide that's not set up yet. So he rides and does a backflip 360 and then lands it. So that was Scotty Kramer.
Okay.
That did that. And then Scotty actually does an air in the swimming pool and then comes down. And then
Cranmer? Scotty Kramer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then Rooftop, Mike Escamilla takes the spot where he does a backflip and then lands. And then he goes through a plate glass window. And then when he lands, I take over.
Okay.
When he lands, he comes up to a bar like this. And at full speed, I hit the front of the bar, launch over the bar, land on the cement sidewalk and behind it. So,
oh boy, they didn't have any padding down?
No, they wanted to see the ground. They wanted to see this, the big slap on the ground. So it's a front flip to my back. So I come in at full speed. I land like a sack of potatoes. I break my heel because when I landed, I whipped.
Yeah.
So that heel hit. They got it first take, luckily. And, I got nominated. Myself, Scotty, and Mike all got nominated for that one scene.
Jeez. So. Pretty cool. I mean,
yeah.
Bummer. Heel's probably a tough one to heel, too, huh?
Yeah.
Speaking of heel.
Yeah, just tiptoe.
Yeah, I guess. Well, build your calf muscles for a while. So is that you still working in the stunt stuff? I mean, is that still?
So right at the very ending of COVID, I got one of my last jobs that I worked on. I got a phone call saying, hey, can you ride motorcycles? Well, yeah. Can you ride a street bike? Yeah. Do you have your license? Yeah. So okay, we need you in New Mexico on this date. Perfect. Okay.
Do you not ask, like, what am I doing? Like, what?
Sometimes
Okay.
not.
Okay.
So, well, they've already asked all the questions. Like, I can do a lot of stuff, and they know my resume, and they know who I am and what I've done. So, a lot of times, it's a no-brainer if I can do it or not. So, anyhow, I answer all the questions, and everything turns out right. And so, I live in Temecula area, and the production is in New Mexico, right? So, they have to make sure that I get. And these are SAG rules that, when you fly from point A to point B, it's got to be a direct flight. So there wasn't a flight out of Ontario. There wasn't a flight out of San Diego, but there's a straight flight from LAX to New Mexico. Well, they send a limo driver to pick me up. I get in the limo. We drive 2 hours to LAX, take the plane over anyhow. When I land in New Mexico, they got a car ready for me. I get in the car. I mean, it's like what's carte blanche?
Carte blanche. Yeah. They're just rolling out the red carpet.
Oh, yeah. Got everything. I'm like, I don't even have to go to the front desk, anything. Oh, no, here's your keys. I get in the car and I drive away. And on that particular day, it's, just getting there. So I get there, I get to the hotel. Hotel goes, this is weird. What kind of beer do you like? I don't know, blonde ale or something. Well, here we got this one here. It's a free one. Thanks. All right, cool. Every time I come to the front desk, you're going to give me a beer? Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun week.
Yeah. So anyhow, show up the next day on set. We didn't rent a car. Early morning, 5 a.m. They stick me in a long sleeve shirt, gloves, helmet, jacket, long pants, boots. Okay.
You still don't know what you're doing?
No. I get there. They bring me to set for, this van brings me to set. And now I find out that I'm doubling Cheech from Cheech and Chong.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? It was same color skin, same height, same build right now. I go, cool. What do I got to do? And they got this Harley parked in this driveway of this house. I go, you need a burnout? Do you need me to skid? Do you need a, just fast takeoff? What? They go, no. So what we need you to do is, as you drive out, you make a left. And when you can't see the camera anymore, stop.
Stop it.
That was it. So we're done? These are cake jobs. This is the cake job. Sometimes you get cake jobs, sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you fly over a table and break your heel.
Right. So this cake job actually happened. So that's it? You're cut, print, checking the gate, moving on. That's a wrap. You're out. So I do the job. I make a left. I get back in the car, go back to the hotel, get on the airplane, get a limo ride back to my house. They call me next week. They call me the very next week. They said, okay, we need you again. I'm not even going to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm there. So now it was a freeway overpass, cameras here.
That's it.
That's it.
Just go by.
I'm not arguing.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing. I love the stunt coordinator that hired me for this. And, I can't, again, this is the cake job. Not so much the cake jobs are, like I work on, what's the motorcycle, Harley, what's the TV show?
With Harleys.
Yeah.
Like Sons of Anarchy?
Sons of Anarchy.
Okay.
So I work on Sons of Anarchy, so I can't even remember the name because it knocked the crap out of me. So I show up on set. We get in, I'm one of the Mayan gang.
Okay.
Right? So I've got, a Levi jacket on. I've got a vest on. I've got elbows. I've got gloves on. I've got some knee pads on. And the coordinator says, okay, what's going to happen is that this box van, I think it's Series 6, the series ending, and box van comes forward, and as the box van door rolls up, he's going to start shooting, right? These two guys on the outside, you get shot and you'll slide sideways, simultaneously, and slide, just lay it down. I want you to get shot in the chest and just launch off the back. How fast are we doing this? He says, well, I'd like to see some speed.
I'm sure you would.
Can't you, I'm not a camera guy, but can't you do this, pass this way as we go this way, and it's going to look twice as fast? He says, no, I want to see some speed. I want to see 40.
Ooh.
40. Really 40? He says, yeah, I want to see 40. Can we do a test? Can we do a test so we can see what it feels like and see what that... So we get out there and we do this test and the van pulls out and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going, I have to let go at this speed. I have to jump off the back and just take it to the ground. And this road that we're on, if you've seen the worst asphalt...
Just super grippy and textured.
100 grit sandpaper.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So how did that go?
So, there's a trick that you do. Some high fall guys do it, and some guys that have to do some laydowns do it, is that if you do 100 on the street and you slow down to 50, feels like you're walking.
Okay.
So it's just a mind trick.
Yeah.
If you go to the 50th story and you come down to the 10th story.
Yeah, this is low.
Yeah, this is low. So we do 100 prior to getting on. Okay, so they're ready to film. We're ready to film. The three of us come out and we start flying up and down the road, right? Really quick, just getting some speed, getting some, flybys. And then we come on to set and they go, okay, ready and action. And we all go in. Now, my bike is set up differently than the other two bikes only because I jump off backwards.
Yeah.
So they take a bungee cord and they strap the bungee cord around the forks and they bring it back down to the frame so that if I let go, the front wheel just spins. And so it doesn't ghost ride forever.
Oh, okay. They want it to turn and gotcha.
Right. So otherwise it's just, I have a kill switch and the bars spin. Okay. So as soon as I launch off the back and so everything happens right. And we're doing 40 and I know that there's a spot on the road that when that door opens up that I need to get ready to launch. And so we speed up just a hair. And right when that door starts rolling up, I stab the brake and hit just so I can launch off backwards.
Is there like a squib or whatever too that goes off, or?
No, not at this. It's just an action shot. Okay. So at this point, when you hear the gun, you get shot. And we all go down and I have to close my eyes and there's other cars and bikes behind us. They're all following us. And so when we go down, I don't know where anybody else is, but we're supposed to be dead, so we can't move. And all I hear is skids and just waiting to get ran over. And
well, was it a low Harley, like where you had a fender and just kind of rolled off the back? I gotta imagine. Okay.
Yeah.
It's better.
It's better.
It's still not. I mean, these are the days you earn your check.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Spider-Man 2, sometimes just testing the wire gags.
Yeah.
Stick it, breaking an ankle or breaking a heel. On a Disney film I worked on, I broke dislocated a knee and tore a meniscus. But most of them were pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The road stuff, I raced supermoto for a little bit, and I needed to crash to feel that.
Right.
It's not that bad, actually.
Get it out of your system.
It's the hit to it, right? And in the dirt, you're almost worse because it grabs you,
right,
and you stop quickly.
Yeah.
If you tell me you were the one doing it, but once you rolled off the back, if it wasn't a big slam, you probably just slid and it wasn't too bad.
But that asphalt wasn't exactly smooth,
gritty.
So it's kind of good grip, and it starts rolling you, and you tumble and roll, and you try to keep your arms in and do as much as you can.
You're supposed to be dead.
Yes, I know.
And then worried about people behind you too. Yeah, that's a lot. Jeez. Yeah, but once I had a crash, like just a low side, I'm like, oh, okay.
Right.
If you hold in one position, that'll get hot. You got to kind of move a little bit.
Right.
But
so the last time I worked, it was for a Disney film. It was doubling Cheech, and it's kind of like a American Vacation, except for Mexican American.
Okay.
So that's why it's with Cheech. But going on, there was another movie prior to that called One Fast Move. You can rent it on Hulu or Prime or something like that. One Fast Move, where they called me and they asked me if I can do this because they wanted to see it for real. But they had video footage of somebody coming in, road bike, Streets of Willow, coming in, sliding, and then high-siding, and then launching over the bike. I'm going, I can definitely low side and put it anywhere you want at any time you want it. But the high side ain't going to happen.
You told him. I was going to ask, did you ever turn something down? Because I think sometimes, well, I'm sure, like this case, they don't know what they're asking you to do.
Right. I said, I don't know anybody that can do a high side on purpose, because it just so happens that wheel catches after a low side and it just launches you. But the footage that they saw was like, oh, that looks great. That's what we want. No. So anyhow, we made it happen, and I was not the stunt coordinator. I was the stunt rigging again, but we made it happen. So I'm in charge of the guy that's going to do the stunt, and then special effects is in charge of the bike that's supposed to do the stunt. So the guy first comes in and he lays the bike down and he does the whole thing on his own. And then the next
low side.
Okay. Low side. And then the next shot is him in the grass with the bike. So we get rid of the high side, but we still want the crash and we want it looking really bad. But he was able to get the low side down at a good speed, but there's no tumbling and the bike didn't do anything, just slid.
Okay.
So now Special Effects has the bike and I have the guy, and we're shooting in Atlanta in the middle of summer with all these guys in full leathers. And you know how productions company works, right? Like hurry up and wait.
Yeah, stand here for 4 hours. Yeah.
Imagine being in full leather suits and 4 hours of waiting around, not doing anything. These guys are drained and sweating and can't get anything done, and they can't wait to get on the track to actually ride around, right? So, but now they're sitting around, and so anyhow, the Special Effects takes the bike and they wrap it with cable and wrap it. And then they have this huge air tank and cylinder that puts it on a 6-to-1, and it's just up in the air and spins. And I've got to try to match that speed with him. And so I hook him up to my truck.
Oh, jeez.
It's not the best way, but we got it done. I hooked him up to the truck and put a 5-to-1 in between. And so for every 1 foot that I move this way, 1 foot, he moves 5 feet.
Okay.
And so in order to watch what he's doing, I hook it to the front of the truck so I can back up and see him at the same time. So I'm only backing up. It feels like 10 miles an hour, if that. And he is hauling ass.
Yeah.
And we have to calculate Special Effects and me at the same time, where I'm, okay, 3, 2, 1, go. And both have to look like.
Yeah.
I'll show you video.
How many takes did you guys have to do?
I think they were able to put the bike back together for another take for like 2 takes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the bike's just destroyed. Oh man, cool. What a fun career.
Yeah.
And you got out of it relatively unscathed? I mean,
yeah, more or less. Yeah. I can still feel it every morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. My back is torn up, and I've got 2 new hips and
is some of that from the bike stuff too?
Oh, bicycle for sure.
Yeah.
I think the hip section was, that I've used my hips so much. A normal person walking, their hips don't go that far, right?
Right.
But you ride a bike and you're articulating all this stuff. So
yeah. Well, yeah, and all your you guys were all over the place, with the tricks.
Plus the crashing, the not making it, and testing and figuring it out. And
yeah, crazy. Tell me about your family a little bit. So you got married a long time. You guys have been married a long time?
Yeah. So probably, my wife's gonna kill me. She's
did I just get you in trouble?
Yeah. Well, I got married on my birthday. We went through a drive-through in Vegas, so I can't forget our wedding date, which is on September 28th. Anyhow, that's my birthday. But we went through the drive-through at Vegas. My wife and I, she is a PA for Kaiser. So that really works out well because she has sewn me up a couple times.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, and she knows exactly what to do with medication and make sure that I don't take too much and not enough and whatever. And then we have a daughter that is, when she went through elementary, junior high, and all this other stuff. She never really got into bikes or BMX but she rode motorcycles and dirt bikes and driving the quad or the razors. She got into doing cheer stunts.
Oh, like tumbling, like that kind of?
So she's a tumbler. She's gymnastics and things like that. But I didn't understand what cheer stunt was. I know what cheerleading is, and I know the competition in cheerleading. Like the movie Stick It, is that you do not cheerleading, but Bring It On.
Yeah. Well, that's really like toss them up in the air.
Right.
And all
Yeah.
Okay.
So she started doing a lot of that stuff, and
what they call it a flyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So she wasn't the flyer; she's one of the catchers, and but she's also the tumbler that's on the ground and doing all this stuff. But it had stunt in the the title.
Yeah.
So, but she's in college in Oklahoma.
All right.
Yeah. So first time away from home for this period of time, and
how's that been?
She's not liking the snow. And it's really cold the other day. I think it was -9, and
jeez. Yeah. Well, wait till summer.
Yeah.
And it's 100% humidity back there.
She's not going to like it.
No.
So.
She can appreciate California weather. What do you guys do for fun these days when you're not working?
As a family, we normally go to Acatia. We ride motorcycles. We have, side-by-sides. We love the desert and the people that we hang out with in the desert with. It's funny, as we get older and we start, age comes a cage. But with this desert thing, I think we eat more than we go out and ride.
Yeah, that's kind of how it turns into.
But everybody in our little campsite is, I swear to you, a chef of some sort, because the food is so good. I mean, the steaks and the ribs and the Chinese food, everything that we got, that's all day long.
Yeah.
All day.
So you just have a big barbecue out in the dirt.
Yes, we do. Yes. Luckily enough, we have only a couple times where it was the windy times out there, and but
then you just hang out in your motorhome or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what you guys do.
Glamping.
Yeah. Do you guys have a big old?
We got a 40-foot fifth wheel, and the air conditioning, heating, shower.
You're not roughing it out there.
No. The roughest part is taking the showers, and we explained to my daughter that this isn't a Hollywood shower. This is tent showering or camping showers. That's getting wet and then soaping up and then getting wet again. Yeah. To where
teenage daughters, that's a tough sell.
Right. The last day is Hollywood showers.
Which is what? Cold water? And
No, Hollywood showers. You could just leave the water on.
Oh, got you. Yeah. Once you're running it out.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we have our Ethica Choni check. And so for that, we're going to give you a little hookup here from our boys at Ethica. So our friends at Ethica set up each of our guests with some product. We got a hat, some socks,
very cool,
and a beanie for you since it's wintertime. So you guys need underwear, you need clothing, sweatshirts, you name it. They make a ton of stuff. Use our code Whiskey20, get 20% off over there at Ethica. We appreciate those guys. And our last question for all of our guests is sort of a legacy question. It's, how do you want to be remembered?
Ooh, good question. I guess changing the sport or doing something good for BMX. I mean, we just want to we want kids on bikes, and we just love seeing how many kids are on bikes nowadays. And I went to this one funeral that the skate park owners, one of them had passed away, and when she had passed, everybody knew about it in the skateboard industry and the BMX industry. And at her funeral, it was the procession that went down to the funeral site with the casket and everything. It was like a sea of skateboarders and BMX riders. Right? It was awesome. And when we all landed at the burial site, they give you that last chance to say goodbye and things like that. And everybody stuck stickers
on the casket.
And on the casket. It was awesome. But that was something that, just to be remembered for what I did in the industry. And I, don't hesitate to, if you have a question or anything like that, I'm not going to bite your head off. And a lot of people aren't like that.
Yeah.
Come up and ask a question.
Yeah. I know a lot of people, I don't want to bother them.
Yeah.
I think if you're in the middle of your career and you're really focused, there's some validity to that. Let them work when they're working. But boy, I've never met somebody who's kind of retired from their main career who wouldn't love someone coming up to him going, "Hey, man, I love what you did in this or that," or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for you, but I mean,
no, that's exactly what it is. And so it's funny is that I asked this question to a lot of people. So my wife's dad was going through Alzheimer's and can't remember things, but then tells you stories over and over and over, and you got to sit there going, yeah, hey, that's a great story. Like, the ending, but you sit there and you say, hey, and my mom is now going through this, and she keeps saying the same stories over and over. Oh, I bought my house for only $17,000, and awesome. Like, I already know that. But so the question I have for other people, I'm going, what what will you say over and over and over? What sets in your mind? What are you going to remember over and over? And that you just want to, it plays in your head every day. And so brings me to a joke. Can I say this one?
Yeah.
Brings me to a joke that this young guy moves into this house next door to this old guy. This old guy, every day, he comes over to this young guy's house and knocks on the door and says, "Have you seen my wife? I can't find my wife. Have you seen my wife?" And the young guy is telling him, he's going, should I lie to him? Because I know that she had passed away. Should I not answer the door? Should I move? But the joy I see in his face every time I tell him he's not married anymore,
It's worth it.
it's worth it.
So, all right, let me ask you that question. What's going to play over and over in your head?
Right.
That's a phenomenal question.
Yeah. I rode motocross. I rode BMX. I jumped out of helicopters. I got hit by cars. This is probably my whole life of doing I was going to name the book this, but it was My Life Behind Bars. Because it's handlebars and I spent my whole life behind it. So,
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, speaking of that, here, we'll show your book, When I Was King, written by Billy Henrikel.
Yep.
And yourself. And this is, Tricks Are for Kids, always had that on the back of his pants, and this bright yellow kit that called you the Flying Banana. I remember all that. There's some neat photos in here, and man, I'm sure it's an awesome book if you guys are interested in that. He's got his own beer koozies here, the former pro, and his own beer. Look at this.
Yeah, a Losta Brewing Company made this for us.
Pipeline Lager.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, man. Check that out if you guys are interested in a good read. Any BMX fans out there.
And we're doing a documentary.
Yeah, and when does that come out?
Yeah, well, I'm in the process of signing the final paperwork today.
Okay.
So today.
And where will it air?
So we're planning on, like a Hulu.
Yeah.
It's an hour. It's longer than your normal documentary, so it's a movie aspect type style. So it's kind of like the Tony Hawk Till the Wheels Fall Off. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it was a great documentary. And that's what we're doing. So, and then Gail Webb's also got her documentary coming out.
Yeah,
so.
That's right. And you did all your own stunts in it. So
yeah. Yeah.
Well, listen, man, thank you for taking the time to come in.
Well, thank you for having me.
Like I said, I didn't know you lived out here.
Yeah.
And when Gail told me that, I'm like, hold on. He lives here? He lives with you? Like, can you get me in touch with him? Yeah. I mean, I really appreciate you taking the time to come in. You were super had a profound impact on my childhood with that movie and your BMX stuff early on. So really cool to go through your story with you, man.
Yeah, don't forget, watch the March 20th, right?
March 20th No, we're going to promote it.
Is Rad Day.
March 20th, Rad Day. It's coming up. By the time this drops, it'll be about a week or two after that. We'll make sure we get everybody out to see that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Eddie, thanks so much, man. What an incredible career, from the
living the dream.
You really did, man.
Living the dream.
And now you got a sugar mama. She's making good money.
She makes great money. I got a house. I got a good daughter. I got those things. When somebody says, "Well, hey, how's your kid?" And somebody goes, "Oh, they're piercing their ears and their hair is this color," and you're playing video games all day and not doing anything. I don't have anything.
Your daughter's
my
great.
daughter's great. I got nothing to complain about.
That's success right there. You know what I mean? I think as a
Yeah.
parent, that's a big marker of that you did a good job. So thank you for everything you did, man, for the sport of just two wheels, I think, in general.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can I do one shout out to
Go.
Rad Designs 1986? They handle all my merch. So like T-shirts and hats and whatever, stickers. Rad Designs 1986. So they also did the artwork for the can, the book.
Oh, sweet.
The hats that I wear, everything. So
What do you have an Instagram page or somewhere you can send people?
it's Eddie Fiola.
Okay.
Yeah, and YouTube is Eddie Fiola BMX.
There you go.
So
Check him out. Follow this guy. He's a living legend, and we're stoked to have him. Thanks so
again,
much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, stick around. We'll be back to wrap up the show. Welcome back, guys. That was Eddie Fiola. I hope you guys enjoyed his story. Anybody that's grew up riding BMX bikes or saw the movie Rad, I mean, he was essentially, as he said, not only a stunt rider in that, but it was based loosely on his life. It was he had a big hand in it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So very cool. For me, the little boy inside me was pretty excited to have him on here. I'll tell you that. That was cool. And just a legend with what he's done his whole life. So stoked to have him on. Appreciate his time. I want to just mention, if you guys haven't seen our discount codes, we've got a lot. I'll just read off a handful. Ethica, if you go to checkout and type in Whiskey 20% off anything at Ethica, which is a great deal. Rockwell, listen, you guys are looking for some sunglasses or cool watches. You can order custom watches. The sunglasses are all Italian made. Amazing, amazing sunglasses. All kinds of styles, men's and women's. WT20 for 20% off there. Seat Concepts, Whiskey 25 for 25% off. It's a great deal from those guys. And especially for dual sport adventure bikes, anything you're on long rides, their comfort seat is another level. Amazing. Check them out. And then ProX, if you guys need anything that wears out, basically if it moves and wears out on your bike, ProX sells it. Chain sprockets, they even make air filters, but cables and bottom end kits, top end kits, they make everything. Whiskey Throttle gets you a discount over there. So we appreciate those folks. There are some others. You can find those on our Instagram page. Appreciate you guys following us. Stick around. Lots more great shows coming, great stories, great guests as we roll through our new season here. So stick around for more. See you then.